Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore. This is Film Threat on a Friday for our Friday Film Threat Livecast. A lot of movies we're going to talk about today. Let's get right to it. We're talking about RENFIELD, Suzume, which is an anime opening in wide release in theaters this weekend. Also, Mafia Mama. Alan saw that one. Plus, The Pope's Exorcist and Beau is Afraid. And I'm very excited. Director Uwe Boll, who retired years ago from filmmaking, is jumping back in the game. Uwe Boll will be here live today answering your questions in an hour and 45 minutes. It's a spectacular show here on a Friday, and I'm happy you're spending it with us. Let's get Alan in the room. Where is Alan? Alan, where is he? Where let's go. Alan, where are you? Hey. Alaning is here. Wow, big show today. So many movies to discuss. I can't wait, dude. It's
this is gonna be an interesting weekend in movies because
it's weird.
It's just all the movies so mixed in terms of response and the way people feel about it. So yeah.
And the worst part is I am pre-coffee right now. I'm about as pre-coffee as I can get. I'm so you can hear it in my voice. Usually when we do the morning show, the first actual words out of my mouth are like on the show. Like, hello. Don't worry, I'll get some coffee in me. But yeah, let's see who's in the chat before we kick things off. Who's here with us today? Solomon Thornton is here. Thank God it's Film Threat Friday. It is. The Joker. Good morning / afternoon, Film Threat and chat. Lord Thoth. Hi, everyone. Uwe Boll, says John Manilang. Get ready with your questions. Get ready with your questions. And first of all, just having met him, he came into the studio at Attack of the Show once, and I met Uwe Boll. He seems to have a sense of humor about himself. I really believe it. And if you saw that documentary about Uwe Boll that kind of goes over his career, we should have some clips. Well, we should find some clips of when Uwe Boll, when he goes in the ring and he basically gets in boxing matches with film critics, and they didn't take it seriously. They thought it was just sort of some exhibition thing. And then he beat the crap out of these film critics. Let's find some YouTube clips and show that while Uwe is here. But I can't wait to talk to him. So get ready with all of your questions. Shucksy is here. Let's go Film Threat. Patrick Lemire, he thought he was out, but Film Threat dragged him back in. That's true. And the nerd far away got my coffee. You look great, though, Chris. You know, this is well, thank you for that, the nerd far away. My hair just, I think it's better. I think my hair is always better the next day. Like after I wake up with like bedhead, my hair actually looks better. Who needs product? Just take a shower before bed, go to sleep on a wet head, and wake up with bedhead. How do I monetize that? I can't. All right, Greasy Guido is here with our first super chat of the day for $5.55. Why not $5.69? Why not? Watched a fun horror movie on Tubi. Knew it'd be good when Chris Gore was killed in the first 2 minutes. What's the story on your Dead by Midnight cameo? Oh, wow. Yes, I am in a film. I will have indie filmmakers like, will you just be in the background of a scene or play a cashier, or I'll give you one line. There's I should put together a montage of all the scenes. Like I was in Night of the Living Dead. I was in Carnosaur by Roger Corman. A bunch I even forgot. But Dead by Midnight, it was an anthology series. I believe they must have cut it into a movie that's on Tubi. But yeah, I play like some internet critic basically who gets killed by a spirit and ripped. It is the gruesome special effects, and the filmmakers, which are Atlanta based, were amazing. So there you go. Everyone on Tubi, Dead by Midnight, just watch the first 2 minutes to see me die. So maybe we can show that. Maybe we'll show it on the show next week. JTP, and thank you for the super chat, Greasy Guido. JTP RX Silver Fox is Chris's hair's name. Well, there you are. And Imperfect says, is Uwe Boll's wife single? You could ask him that. You could ask him. He's gonna get ready. Wait till he gets here. We'll wait till so hold your questions until then. But please have some legit questions here first. He's made quite.
I'm trying to remember where that's from. I've heard that. I have been binging a little bit of Uwe Boll's work. Seen Rampage and Postal.
Postal is just bizarre. I mean, we'll get into it before he comes to the show. But
and Rampage, it's like how was he able to make that movie?
Well, you got to see the Uwe Boll documentary. Why am I spacing? I interviewed the filmmakers, which it was long ago when the podcast was just a podcast was audio only, but we did take a bunch of the audio podcasts and then we would like throw them on YouTube. I don't know. We didn't know what we were doing until like a year ago. Look, give me 5 years and I'll figure out YouTube as a platform. But it's called F You All, the Uwe Boll story. It came out in 2018. I interviewed the filmmakers on the Film Threat podcast. And it's a great documentary. I mean, it is and it's not F You All, we're not at least 30 minutes into the show, so I'm going to curb the swearing.
Yeah.
But it's a really fascinating documentary about how he made all these movies. He became hated. He lashed out at critics, and then he left the business to become a restaurateur, which probably makes more money. But there you go. Uwe Boll is the god, says John Maneling. Wes Ray, would you consider Uwe Boll an auteur? Sure. I think he's an auteur. Let's ask him what he thinks of himself. Why don't we do that? We will do that. All right. Now it's time to pivot for our first review. We are going to get to Renfield, but we like to make sure that, people sort of have a chance to get the notification, get live and get in here. If you show up, look, if you're early on the show, you get the best stuff. And because you showed up early, I am super excited for Alan to talk about Mafia.
Yes, Mafia Mama. It's great. So this one stars Toni Collette. I'm pretty sure this is a Toni Collette project, but she plays this kind of middle-aged housewife who is just living her life. Her husband just had an affair with her. Her son's going off to
wait. Clarify something. Her husband's gonna have an affair with her. Wait.
No, I'm sorry. So her husband is having an affair, and not with her.
So her son's going off to college. She discovers that her husband is having an affair.
Yes. Okay. Let's say that. And and meanwhile, overseas in Italy, the Balbano and Romano family are at war, and both the heads of those families are dead. And the last dying wish of Don Balbano was that his granddaughter would take over the business. And that grandfather is Kristen, who is the Toni Collette. This is played by Monica Bellucci, and basically told that she needs to come to Italy and settle the family affair.
Oh, Alan, I gotta stop you. Alan, I gotta stop you for a second. Your internet just went terrible. Is someone uploading a file in your home?
And let me check. Hey, you talk and I'll check.
Okay, cool. All right, Alan. Well, while Alan is checking on that Mafia Mama I kind of feel like Alan and I sometimes draw straws, and so he'll see movies that that he may or may not want to see, but I'm going to see a different movie. So I saw Beau is Afraid and Renfield. We both saw Renfield, but Alan saw Mafia Mama. And every time I've seen this trailer for Mafia Mama, and I can't review this movie. This is not a review. This is not a review of Mafia Mama. But every time I've seen that trailer, I've usually gotten just left the theater to get popcorn, or I cringe if I'm seeing it. It is not a movie for me. I knew this when I saw the trailer. I have no interest in ever seeing this movie. And no matter how good Alan says the Mafia Mama movie is, based on the trailer, I will never see this film. And by the way, I really like Toni Collette. So there you are. That's my take while Alan is checking on his his home internet. I'm gonna go to some of your chat comments and questions here. John Odom says it looks horrible. Yes, there you go. Shucksy says your review of Mafia Mama is excellent. I'm only reviewing it from the trailer. So
give me a moment.
Go. Okay. Keep your house in order, Alan, says Aaron Taylor. Toni Collette is awesome. So, no, wait. CD Stein 69. Even if it's a bad movie, you had me at Monica Bellucci, but I'll wait to see it on streaming so I can just fast forward to her scenes. Toni Collette is awesome, says Special Agent Bill Maxwell. All right. Is Alan back?
Okay. It looks like it's back.
Okay. Well, let's do
How
this.
do I sound? How do I look?
Well, you sound fine. As for your looks, please just continue the Mafia
Okay.
with you.
All right. So middle-aged housewife, she's thrust into the head of a mafia family, and all hilarity ensues from there. She thinks she's going for the funeral. She wants to go to Italy because of the affair. She wants to get laid, and now she's running a family. And so, it's very typical, very light comedy. The gore factor is pretty high in terms of the way people die. But it's just a comedy. It's not horrible. I'm just not sure the appeal will be there for most people. If you want to laugh, if you want to try to laugh, I would give it. I don't know that I could recommend it, but it's pretty close.
Whoa! What, you can't recommend it?
I can't. Toni Collette is great. Is a great actress. It's just weird to kind of see her play this kind of it's a very like teenagey type middle-aged woman where she's just a little too naive to what's going on. There's certain, because it's the mafia, there's violence. She actually kills a few people without really trying, and becomes kind of this feared figure in the mafia world. And that's kind of where the humor derives itself from.
All right, well, let's go to comments and questions here, Alan. And I'm glad your internet is back.
Yes. Someone was uploading videos, and it wasn't me.
Yes, well, that person should know that on Fridays between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., around thereabouts, they shouldn't be uploading videos.
Yes.
So there you go.
This person has her own video channel or YouTube channel. So
yes, well, just that window as a reminder. You definitely want to do that when you're doing the show.
Yes.
Comments and questions here. And I grabbed a few. If there are any more, Alan, grab those. Even if it's a bad movie, you had me at Monica Bellucci, but I'll see it on streaming so I can just fast forward to her scenes. Wait, I think I said that.
Yeah, she's very good in this movie.
Womp Biscuits love Toni Collette also. United States of Taro was great, but short-lived.
Yeah, my wife and I have seen that movie, that series. Brie Larson, by the way, it plays the daughter.
I'll never see it. Hello, computer. Love the stream. You're my new favorite YouTuber. Sorry so late to the party. Hey, all are welcome. You can even be late. You can come to the party after. But appreciate you're here for the live stream. That's great. Hello, computer. Imperfect. Can we get a wellness check on Alan's internet? It's Alan's internet's not the problem. It's communication in the Ing household. So there you are.
She said that she did it yesterday, and apparently it didn't happen.
Well, I would get one of those really cool refrigerator magnets, and I would put on there a sign that reads, "Please do not use the internet or upload videos between the hours of blah, blah, blah." Patrick,
clearly you haven't been married for a long time.
Patrick Lemire says Alan's internet is like the old days when a fax kicked you off. Monica Bellucci's sense is tingling, says Spidey Sensei 72. And then some non-Mafia Mama related questions. Want Biscuit says, any update on the Justine Bateman interview? No. All I did was direct message her. No, I couldn't direct message her on Instagram. I sort of replied to her. Nothing. She does her own show, which is fine. She does a show on what's that thing? It's people used to use it now.
Oh, Clubhouse.
So she has a Clubhouse show.
She's also on a book tour.
She's on a book tour right now.
Yeah.
So interesting. Here you go. Mike Waite says, please make sure you give my tickets to the 8:00 show away, going to Vegas with a good friend of mine that weekend. Best wishes on your movie. Well, you know what? I'm going to make an announcement right now. If you're a Kickstarter backer and you backed the campaign and you backed at the level to get a digital copy of Attack of the Doc, you will get it the same day that the movie is screening in theaters. So you will be able to enjoy it at the same time. Of course, no, Mike, I think you already mentioned that. So consider it taken care of. Eric Stratton for 777. What do you think of Mario being a moderate echo of Wizard of Oz? I mean, it is that in the sense, first of all, yes, in the sense that we begin Mario's story in the real world, and then he goes to a fantasy world, and then he comes back to the real world. That device has been used in movies like Tron and other movies that I can't think of right now because I haven't had a full cup of coffee. But yeah, it is. I mean, it's like, that's fine. It's a device that's been used before. So there you are. John Odom says, Mafia Mama, here we go again. Mafia Mamma Mia, here we go again. How's that? Oh my God. The Nerd Far Away, first thing I saw Ms. Colette in was Muriel's Wedding. Interesting. And Patrick Lemire says, is it a comedy or drama? Alan?
Very much a comedy. There's a bit of comedy shtick that occurs in the beginning that is just cringeworthy. It's just lame. And fortunately, they drop it pretty much after that first act. It gets a little more serious, but it's a comedy for sure.
John Manaling says, Alan, tell Grace Randolph to not upload the same time as the stream. Yeah, Alan.
Oh, I've been found out. Yeah.
There you go. Football Frequency for 5 says, Chris, this is not a review of Mafia Mama. Caption, Mafia Mama review. Can't wait for Attack of the Doc. Thanks, Film Threat. And, Latino Slant here, derailing the stream with a question completely unrelated to anything we're talking about today. Paulie on point. It's like when Paulie texts me 9 times in a day, Paulie texts like girlfriends I've had texts. It's constant texting. And then he said, Paulie has silenced his notifications. Dude, text like a man. See you at 5. Nothing else needs to be discussed. No plans. Keep it simple. Hey, Alan, I just saw the first 2 episodes of Beef, and I will be filing a complaint that all the Mexicans were just landscapers on one defensive TV show, but I loved it. I have also seen the first 2 episodes of Beef. It is amazing. I will be binging it this weekend. We'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
It is. I was riveted from the first 10 minutes. Ali Wong is amazing. Stephen Yeun's always good. I checked out of Walking Dead after his character Glenn was dispensed with in a horrible way. Beef is fantastic. I was just like, I gotta do it all in one sitting. But yeah, it's great. And
I haven't seen it yet, and I'm getting murdered in the comments because I don't have time to watch all the television shows we're reviewing.
Well, the thing, I mean, people forget, like, you are the editor-in-chief of Film Threat. In addition to that, look, what you do, I think, is amazing for indie film. We've got, even with like the team, Alan does take on a lot of reviews personally. So, Yeah, please, you got to be easy on Alan. I know I give him a little grief on the show. I only give people grief that I like Paulie from Latino Slant. Shout out to Paulie. Paulie, who's always like, hey, I'm going to do my review right out of the theater. Where's Chris Gore so I can get him on camera? This is always does to me. Yeah. And I love it. I love Paulie.
I mean, I will say I saw 4 movies yesterday. So,
so cut Alan some slack.
I know. Although I did wedge out some time to see Picard this morning. And
I have not seen it.
Oh my gosh.
That's a whole other story. Let's.
I'm so sad.
We got to keep the show going, and as long as it's at Paulie's expense, I'm in. Paul N. Speaking of Brie Larson, her facial expression looks like she smells bad cheese. That's kind of it. And yo, let's get these likes to 100. Slap that like button, says Flaccid Phoenix. I appreciate that. And JL says, hello, Chris and Alan. I showed my JL for $9.99. Hello, Chris and Alan. I showed my father the Attack of the Dock trailer, and he loved it. He remembers your era of G4 fondly.
Wow. JL's father remembers your show fondly.
Yes. Yeah, that shows you how old I am. Well, JL, say hi to your dad. And the movie, I think it's like for $2.99 to rent on April 24th. You can get it. And it's going to roll out on other platforms too. But there you go. Patrick Lemire says, Alan is 69 reviews behind.
Oh, man, you have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, look, go to filmthreat.com to see how much work Alan puts in. There's a reason he hasn't seen all of Beef yet.
Yeah, or any of Beef.
Or any of
half of the latest episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And why it took a month to get me my You Can Call Me Bill review done.
Yeah, you got to cut Alan some slack here, folks. But Alan has another movie that he's going to talk about real quick, and then we will get to Renfield. I promise we will get to Renfield. But there's a movie that I haven't seen that I was hoping to check out this weekend, and that is Suzume, which is an animated film that is currently in theaters, just opened. Alan, what's your review of Suzume?
You do have a background for that.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so Suzume is a girl who is just kind of living her life. She's a little odd. One day she meets a guy who just a stranger that she kind of catches his eye, and we find out that the stranger is a doorkeeper. He's the one who goes around and closes doors. There's these doors that are all over Japan that just kind of stand there, and when you look through the door, you see this kind of cosmic worm. And this worm is going, because the door is open, it goes out and it tries to destroy the local town in a very, kaiju kind of way. By closing the door prevents that happening. And now Suzume, following him, kind of has special ability, kind of becomes a door closer with him. And they're followed by a cat. This is how weird this movie is. Followed by a cat who turns the guy into a chair. And so now Suzume and this guy who's now a chair must go and close all the doors in Japan. That's the story. It's like I'm sitting there. I went to the premiere of this movie, and there's people after the movie's over. People are kind of weeping and crying and feeling heartfelt. And I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? And I felt the same way when I saw Totoro. I think I'm kind of feeling like I don't understand Japanese storytelling. It feels like it's much more emotional than kind of a straightforward action narrative. That there are ideas and themes that are presented, and that is what is considered the beauty of Japanese anime and Japanese storytelling. And so, it kind of, this movie goes on a long time. We're following a girl in a chair, and I think the thing that for me is the issue is I'm trying to find latch points in this story, moments where I could just kind of grab onto the story and feel kind of the emotion that they're wanting to tell, the humanity of what they're trying to tell. And I'm just not getting it here. And so I don't know, Chris, what your experience is with, kind of this style of Japanese anime, where it's kind of people, usually girls, who go out on kind of some spiritual adventure. It's like when I saw Spirited Away, I'm continually watching going, what the hell am I watching? And I'm just finding it difficult to latch onto that story.
Alan, I'm with you on that. When I've seen these types of anime, it's just, I just realize it's not for me, except the one that I saw that I thought was very good was Bell. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, but that's a very straightforward narrative. It's about, a kid who's, I guess, being bullied online, and it has a VR element to it. It's about something we relate to, which is bullying. Yeah, this one is just it has more loftier ideals behind it.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, maybe I will catch it on streaming, but I was gonna, what I'm actually seeing this weekend. I'm seeing The Big Lebowski. It's come back to theaters for like the 25th anniversary. We'll talk about it next week, but Dante and I are going to go see The Big Lebowski. I think Dante is going to be having some edibles. It's just a guess, because I know Dante well. And
isn't sharing.
Pretty sure he's going to be having edibles at the screening of The Big Lebowski we're going to Sunday at the AMC Burbank 16. So there you go. But let's go to your chat comments and questions. So Suzume, do you recommend Suzume?
I mean, personally, I wouldn't see it again. My daughter kind of wants to see it again just to see it in the subbed version. We saw it dubbed, but it's just not my style. I think, I know people who love this kind of storytelling, and I would say go ahead and see it.
Well, can I say something about that?
Yeah.
Okay. I always go with the subtitled version because you hear the original intention of the filmmaker, the voices for the actors, right? Like, I just prefer it. Although there's a very good versions of Akira that are, dubbed, but I always go subbed. Having said that, what I feel is when you see, this goes for almost every movie that has subtitles, you are reading more into it with reading subtitles than you would be if you just heard, understood the language. And by that I mean, and here I'm gonna prove it to you now, why movies that are subtitled seem way more profound and meaningful because of subtitles. Do you know why? Do you ever see people who have tattoos of kanji, like Americans who have like Chinese or Japanese symbols, and they're all tattooed and it's profound? I saw someone did this, I think it was a TikTok, where a young Asian girl put English words on her, like one would put, like she put on her arm, this is totally true, she put the word soup in English, an Asian girl, just to show kind of, it might be a little weird that people put, and look, all due respect, if you have a tattoo on yourself that with kanji, I think it's very beautiful. I mean, it's an art, right? The language and it's beautiful, but it would be like an Asian person putting the word soup or happy on themselves.
Yeah.
You ever seen, there used to be, it was a thing that a bunch of memes called English, and it was things in Japan or in Asian countries where they misuse English. Just look up English, go down a rabbit hole. It's hysterical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say this. I think one reason why they use kanji as a symbol is because, and this is what I'm saying about Asian storytelling, is it's about the theme of kanji versus the fact that it's just soup. It's the idea of gives you warmth that fills you up. And that's why they do it. Regarding the subs, I like subs because it reflects, I think, the author's original intent in terms of dialogue versus subbed, which is trying to do that while matching mouth movements. If you want to do something interesting, my kid and I, we watched the volleyball one. Why am I spacing out on this right now? Haiku. We watched it both with subtitles and dubbed, and you see the differences between what is being said and what the subtitle is. And so, I always go for the author's original intent, which is why I like subbed.
Right. Let's go to your super chats and questions now. So, wait, real quick, Alan, do you recommend Suzume?
No.
Wow.
But I have to qualify it. But I have to qualify it. It's like if this is your style, if you like Spirited Away, if you like these kind of ethereal thematic movies, I guess you might enjoy it. I'm not going to speak to that. I can't definitively say that. But people were crying in my theater. People were saying this is the greatest movie ever. So it's like I don't know if they're just kind of caught up in the moment that we're at the world premiere, or if it's something else.
Well, I will say that Spirited Away is actually coming to theaters in one of those limited Fathom events things. They're showing the live action stage play of Spirited Away in theaters. So,
by the way, it's a live performance. It's a live performance.
It's a live performance.
It's a live. That's why on one day it's a different actor, on another day it's another actor.
Oh, I'm definitely going. I love the Fathom events. The only problem I have with the Fathom events, they start on time. There's no trailers. So there's no 20 minutes of trailers. Like, I'll get popcorn. Blah, blah, I'm going to grab another drink. No. The Fathom events things, they start on time. So there you go.
By the way, I should say I went to the world premiere of the English dubbed version. That's where I was at.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, okay. Elliot Cecil for $4.99. I think we need more gingers and redheads in cinema. I would 100% agree. I love redheads, and I am not going to lie. Thank you for that. Beerosaurus Rex for $2.20. We appreciate you, Alan. Not sponsored by Disney. Baylor Peak says, hi, Chris and Alan. I've been a fan of you, Chris, since your G4 days. Alan, why did you star that? But thank you, Baylor Peak. Fra sounds Japanese.
Yep.
John Mewald. Wait, an IKEA chair?
Yeah, it's actually a 3-legged child's chair. It's just, this is the cuteness of this movie. It's this chair that walks and closes doors from that to prevent demons from going through it.
Aaron Taylor says a chair. It's not a fart fetish movie, is it? Well, there you go. Oh, and Mike MC Wong. Mike, I did get your email about Full River Red. I want to read your email. He added some context to that. I enjoyed that movie much more than Alan did, but thank you, Mike. I didn't see you last night at our AMC Burbank 16 meetup, but what can you say? Mike MC Wong says Suzume is made by the same guy who did My Name. That movie was excellent. It's a Gungan says Totoro. Okay, I get
Totoro.
it.
Didn't I say that?
No. Totoro. You did. He's just making a goof, spelling it like toe, like a toe on your foot. Imperfect says, I love Japanese storytelling. Brock Samsonite says, it's because it's based on Japanese culture, not American culture. You don't understand it because you don't know it.
Yep. I mean, that's true. That is absolutely true.
Because it's weird when people say, I really despise the idea, or when it's mostly idiots who group people into groups like Asia. Do you realize how many different types of Asians there are? And even between them, you can't just say, well, Filipinos think this. No, they don't. An individual has their own thoughts. A group can have many different thoughts. The sooner we begin to just get away from this lumping people into this group has this opinion, that is a false statement. Period. Full stop.
Yeah, and then also let's add, I'm Asian American. I am an American. My family on both sides have been in the United States for over 100 years. So yeah, we're gonna lose a bit of our culture over time, over the generations, and that's a sociological fact.
And it's also, there's nothing wrong with that. I always have had just appreciation for different cultures, mainly starting with their cinema. Then you get into their food. Then maybe you get into margaritas and drinking, whatever. Then you get into Irish whiskey. So many cultures have something to contribute. So there you are. Yes, Brock Samsonite. Yeah, that's
I mean,
totally
I
fine.
can't argue that. You can't argue it.
Cannot argue that. Jericho Leon is a member. Thank you for that. You're heartless, Alan. Face purple crying. The dog catcher, is he turned into a substantial chair of a cheapo IKEA chair? Possibly. The nerd far away, got to admit, I want to see Suzume, but I also love Totoro and Spirited Away. I love the storytelling. They take emotions and intangible concepts tangible and make them tangible. That's
This will definitely appeal to you then. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe I will see it this weekend. I'll see for myself. Alan can be wrong. I would never say Alan is wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not my style of storytelling and in animation. I mean, the animation is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Even the chair is kind of cute in its way. And of course there's cats in it. And how can you not like cats?
Well, apparently you don't like cats.
I don't like, I mean, I like cats. I'm just not enamored by them as other people are.
Imperfect says Alan's daughter approved. Is she available to do, like, let's get her reviews?
She will get there one day.
Solomon Thornton says Spirited Away will always be my favorite. And Dark Sith 87 says, unfortunately, it was a forgetful, scary movie. No emotional connection to the family, which is why The Conjuring is my favorite. The way the movie builds tensions is a masterclass. Wait, they're having
I think we're talking about the Pope.
They're talking about something completely different off topic. I need where's Miss Pico Coffee? She's got to be.
I think I actually started that one.
Did you start that one?
I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I think I thought it was about something else, and so that's why I started.
All right, a couple more super chats. We're gonna get to Renfield, folks. So thank you. We're cranking today. We are cranking. We have a lot of movies to review. And Uwe Boll on the show. What could be better? Senator John Blutarski. Thank you, Senator. Oh my God, I know the reference. I love it. For 10 and a member, I can't wait to rent Attack of the Doc and buy the Blu-ray. I found this channel after the Kickstarter because I absolutely would have jumped on it. Well, if you're in the Southern California area, you can go to the premiere of Attack of the Doc. Tickets are still on sale. It looks like the 8 o'clock is going to be sold out this weekend. And then there's other screenings. The 10:15, I would recommend get into the 10:15 if the 8 o'clock is sold out. But thank you. And if you're a backer, you're going to see the movie on the 21st, along with everyone who will be at the premiere. And thank you for your support, Mr. Blutarski. Just go to attackofthedoc.com. All the links are there. The Joker says, on Spirited Away, in my opinion, it's not just about the story and dialogue. I believe some people have had events in their life that they don't connect with the movie. They are living it. I like that. I have been profoundly affected by, I thought Belle was fantastic. I got choked up at the end of Belle. I watched it with my daughter, that end story, the payoff at the end, when you realize it's not really about what you think it's about. And there's kind of this twist is so good. Belle, look, I think it might be on HBO Max now.
I think so. And also it's an homage to Walt Disney, to Walt Disney, the man.
Yes. Baylor Peak for 5 says, Chris, do you think we will ever have movies again that will reach the caliber of movies like Godfather 1 and 2? Are those days just gone? Yes. Those days are gone. Those movies will be few and far between if they even get made. The last great era of American filmmaking was the 1970s and part of the 80s. And now we have pivoted. I actually believe that all of the movies nominated for Best Picture should be American movies, period. Every other country does their own award show. Okay. Every other country does their own award show. The BAFTAs, they have their own award show and they honor movies from their country. Somehow in America, we want to, and we already have a category, Best International Film. We have that category already where movies from around the world can be nominated. The Academy Awards blew it. They need to encourage American filmmaking that has an American identity. What the American identity has become is pushing our agenda on other countries, almost like our foreign policy. So I think it's a losing strategy long term. I think it's a mistake. But I do think we need to make movies that are more wholly American. That era is over. You're going to see like little echoes of that, but it's a cheap imitation. It's a cheap imitation. Not that there won't be really good movies made, but they're being made. In the 70s, they were just like, it was a style. It was filmmakers were inspired and they fed off each other's creativity. I mean, there are whole books and documentaries made, so many, about that era of filmmaking. It was so impactful. It inspired not just other American filmmakers, it inspired filmmakers around the world. So Baylor Peak, that's my unfortunate take on that. I think some filmmaker, there is a filmmaker out there. This is a Gore rant. Where's my video? This is definitely a rant. I'm going to find it. A freaking IKEA chair. There is a filmmaker out there that has an opportunity to tap into what is exactly happening in the zeitgeist in America. We are connected, and there are things that we have, anxieties we have about everything happening in our country right now. And the filmmaker that can tap into that will make a huge blockbuster hit, because what that person is going to be doing is tapping into how everyone is feeling right now. And we all share some common feelings about what's happening in the world, whether it's about the lack of trust in our institutions, whether it's looking at the mainstream media and thinking, are they really telling us the truth? Are they really telling us what's good for us? Or are they trying to manipulate us to make us feel a certain way? Do these institutions have our best interests at heart? What's happening with our youth? There's a mental health crisis with our youth. And there are people, I believe that social media is, when it's really studied, will be determined to be worse than smoking in terms of its detriment to our health. There are a lot of things in the zeitgeist right now, and any filmmaker that can tap into what is something that's right in front of our faces that they can tap into and make a film about that. Tap into that as kind of a theme or subtext to a story would be incredible. And films in the 70s, in the 1970s, used to do it. That was the last great era of American filmmaking. And we need to get back to that. It's really sad that, big studios used to make those movies. By the way, big studios used to make those movies that were tapped into the zeitgeist, that were edgy, that took risks. They didn't care about making a ton of money at the box office. It was always like, we make a profit, that's cool. We make more than we spent, fine. And they weren't spending crazy budgets for these films. You know how much the budget was for the original Star Wars? $10 million. There needs to be a new movement in American cinema of truly American films that tap into what Americans are feeling at this moment, the shared feelings that we all have about the state of our world, about climate change anxiety. I really feel for young people growing up because they've lost a sense of purpose and hopefulness. And some of our greatest leaders used to espouse messages of hopefulness. They used to say things that were hopeful and positive and optimistic and say, you know what? We have this crisis, but guess what? We're Americans. We rally around each other and we will solve this problem. And now what we have are forces that are trying to manipulate us to feel a certain way and divide this country. It's no different than the plan of the evil Ming the Merciless in Flash Gordon, who kept the kingdoms of Mongo divided and fighting amongst each other to just deflect from what the real threat was, until a savior from Earth, a former quarterback from the New York Jets named Flash Gordon, came to Mongo and showed the leaders of the various kingdoms of Mongo that if they unite, they can defeat the real threat, which was right in front of their faces. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but that was part of the message of the original Flash Gordon comic strips from the 30s. Was there are forces trying to keep us divided amongst each other, to keep us fighting and hating each other, and divide us by this, and you're this thing and this, and no, we're all Americans. I see you, you're an American. I'm tired of the things trying to divide us.
See, one movie came out last year that speaks to what you're saying, and that was Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. Top Gun Maverick.
One single movie.
And you know how that movie was promoted? Not one time was the word diversity used to promote that movie. And guess what the movie was? It was organically diverse. So much stuff is just organically diverse because it just and then they never use diversity to promote it. I think that's a turnoff to people, because if that's the best thing you can say about your movie is it's diverse, it's probably not a very good movie and not a very good TV show. You know what? The TV show, the Netflix show Beef, which I think is fantastic. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I will binge the whole thing. You know what? I guess you could say it's diverse, but it's mostly Asian driven, and I don't care. I'm wrapped up in the story.
Yeah. We're allowed to tell stories. Asian Americans are allowed to tell Asian American
but what I'm
stories.
saying is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Absolutely. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of like, this matters. No, it doesn't. Yeah. Stephen Yoon, who's Korean, by the way, you're wrapped up in his story. He's struggling. He's trying to make a go of it. He's at Home Depot, has this minor incident with someone in a parking lot that drives the whole show. It's so well done. I don't look like Stephen Yoon. I don't care. I care about a story where I can identify with the problems that the character's going through. This madness of identity politics dividing us has to end.
See, it's
stupid.
The thing that we've gotten away from is this idea of what does it mean to be an American? You know, me growing up in school in an all-white community, you know, to me it was impressed. These are the values of Americans: freedom, this idea of the melting pot, equality. You know, these are the things that unite Americans together, no matter what their skin color is. We've gone away from that, and now we are so race obsessed that this obsession is essentially creating a war between all the races. You know, there's no consistency. There's nothing. It's not like all the non-whites are banding together. Even there, we're trying to divide. We're trying to continually divide this nation. It's infuriating. It's frustrating.
There are not enough people pointing this out. And I've seen even amongst friends of mine, their posts on social media are just incredibly divisive. It's also condescending as hell. And
by the way, do you know what foreigners say about Americans?
What do they say?
They question, why is America so obsessed with race? You know, they see us. They all the things that we talk about is not happening. Okay, Canada, Great Britain, yes, but it's not happening in the rest of the world. Asia is not having this race problem. Well, Africa is not having this race problem. South America is not having this race problem.
You were telling me, Alan, that because I really don't watch mainstream news anymore. I just don't. I just find it's just propaganda at this point. But you told me, we had a conversation once. You were telling me that you mostly watch international news about America is more accurate about American news talking about America.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, because in America, there's a filter that all news has to pass through. Even Fox News. You know, and you're just wanting to get a fresh perspective from someone outside, someone who has not taken a side, and someone who can look at America objectively. And the only way you can do this is go outside.
You know what? Do not support people who divide, and call it out. When you see people using language that's divisive or giving you this condescending speech about, you know, usually it's from people with no real life experience, or which I think they're idiots. It's point it out, call it out, start calling it out. We have to call it out for what it is. It's divisive. A freaking IKEA chair. All right, now we're going to pivot and we're going to talk about, or wait, did we have any comments on this?
Yeah,
we have a few comments.
Oh, hey, there's a super chat column here too.
Okay, here. All right. Before we get to Renfield, let me go to your comments.
You probably want to get to them after your rant, by the way.
Yes, I'm sorry, folks. Womp Biscuit says, my understanding is foreigners, particularly Europeans, look at us and go, what the hell is wrong with y'all?
Yeah,
that's why our standing in the world is diminished. Our standing in the world is currently diminished. So
no one takes America seriously anymore.
Aaron Taylor, Asia has its own race problems. That's very true.
That's very true.
I've spoken to more than a few immigrants, and when you talk to them about other Asians, oh boy, you find out like that there are rivalries between like different types of Asians. The Koreans hate the Japanese. It goes, and a lot of this has to do with wars, and whatnot. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, after World War II, you know, my family and our friends, Chinese, hated Japanese with a passion.
And sometimes for very good reason, unfortunately. Bill S. Preston Esquire, America is one of the least racist countries in the world. Folks don't realize how racist the rest of the world is. Oh yeah, it is. Especially if you go overseas and you see products and other commercials, and you see, for example, how Black people are portrayed in television commercials outside of this country, among others.
Let me just comment on that, because it's ironic that if America is the most racist country in the world, the reason is because it's too diverse. There's too many races within America. So what you do is, if you take a country that has the least amount of different races, they will become the least racist. So the less diversity you have in a country, the less racist you will be. That's the current thinking of this world.
Lori Ormond sends in 669 and is a member. Thank you, Lori. Baylor Peak became a new member. Special Agent Bill Maxwell, like that blow up a pipeline movie, can't be bothered to name it exactly. We reviewed it on the show yesterday. Watch the live stream from Wednesday. My apologies. My Kingdom for a Film is a member. We used to debate this in film school years ago. What is American cinema? Mostly because you have so many cultures represented in America. So what are we? I believe there is an American identity. It's being subjugated as people are just being divided, and we're being fed false narratives about what this country is. And here's how you really want to know. Go to a blue collar dive bar. That's real America. The dive bar that I go to in Pasadena is the 35er. It's incredibly diverse, but nobody cares. Everybody's there to drink and watch sports. That's what you do. And all these problems that are pointed out that claim to be such huge problems in America, I don't ever see it. I never see it firsthand. Never seen it. Samuel Araton says, Total Recall, Demolition Man, Saving Private Ryan, Starship Troopers, Dumb and Dumber, The Matrix. I would argue cinema dropped off after Lord of the Rings when DC/MCU became the only product to watch. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely on the decline for sure. Definitely. Aaron Taylor says, how many people are reading Orwell? The distractions are too much these days. Our society is speeding toward its demise, and no art will wake the populace too divided, and the writers are lecturers. Very astute observation. Doc Savage for 10. I again must recommend 2022's The Cursed with Boyd Holbrook and Kelly Riley, not to be confused with 2005's Cursed with Christina Ricci, that's reviewed on the Film Threat site. Well, thank you for that.
Should mention that you and I reviewed The Cursed on this channel.
Yes.
I'll post the link. But I will say this, I don't remember what I said about it. So maybe we liked it, maybe we didn't.
That was like a year and a half ago.
I know.
Theaters were just coming back. Baylor Peak for, okay, yeah, that kicked things off. Brock Samsonite. My Neighbor Totoro is actually about learning to cope with the loss of a loved one, specifically one that has committed suicide, says Brock Samsonite.
And my issue with My Neighbor Totoro was, yes, you're right, but I'm not sure. I don't feel like the connection between Totoro, the creatures, and the cat bus was made strong enough to warrant them needing to be there, as opposed to just telling a story about loss.
Midnight Movie Talk with Eric Weber says, Beau is Afraid sucks. Look.
Really him?
Yeah, it is Midnight Movie Talk with Eric Weber. We'll get into it. We'll talk about it. Eric, I appreciate your opinion. I just can't listen to music while you talk. I want to hear the dulcet tones of your voice while you're reviewing a movie. I couldn't watch your review, but I do recommend your channel. So there you go.
Or at least play Feeding the Ducks when you're
This is one of my favorite people of all time, Paulie from Latino Slant. I hate Latinos. I identify as a Latin Grammy. Well, there you are. There you are. Love Paulie. Paulie, hopefully I'll see you next week. So there you go. Oh, a couple more super chats here. Did I get all these?
No, that one you're good.
Okay. No. There was some.
Here's a super chat. I just started a super chat. Here we go. Start again.
Okay. Sorry about that. We're both starring at the same time. That's why we need a producer to help Ellen and I. It's going to happen someday. A couple more comments here. We're going to get to Renfield, I promise. It only took us the first hour. Matthew Hammond says, could you make a list of good books about movies? Let's see. There's, oh God. I guess I just have to look at my shelf. But my shelf of books is in the other room. Matthew Hammond, I can do that. Yes. I'll give you one to kick off, but this is more about filmmaking. Very insightful. It's called When the Shooting Stops, the Cutting Begins. The author is the editor of most of Woody Allen's movies that talks about film editing. I learned so much from that book about film editing. I still remember just lessons I learned from it. You will look at movies differently after reading that book. You'll have a new appreciation of film editing. I think that film directing, the director always gets like all the attention, the visionary, the director, but there are so many other important parts of the filmmaking process, the cinematographer, but that book is fantastic. It's When the Shooting Stops, the Cutting Begins. It's an older book, but the concepts hold up. It's all about film editing. So, but yeah, I should do that as a segment, and I'll just actually bring my stack of books. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. And John Thomas says, saw a video of a preacher giving a sermon on race, said race is a social construct. Skin color is only a matter of melanin. Inside, we're all the same. I should have saved the video, Black Preacher. I've always believed that. Mm-hmm. It's just like, how do we continue? Can we just keep finding slivers to divide us? Like, if someone is bald, is that a different category? You can't just put people of different personalities types. You can't just assume a personality type based on what someone looks like. We used to call that prejudice, which is prejudging someone before you get to know who they are on the inside, their moral character. And so I feel like incredibly bad lessons are being taught to a generation of kids, and it is destructive to the moral fiber of this country. I'll say this. You don't see a lot of Gen Xers or people like Alan and I's age, like fighting amongst each other or lecturing or saying a lot of stupid shit. because we realize, I don't know, maybe we just grew up differently. And I'm just looking at the lessons being taught and I'm thinking, this is not good. This is destructive. All right, it's time to pivot. It's time to pivot. What do we do when we pivot? I could use an assist.
We need to rename these videos.
We should name them and put them in a different order.
Yeah, like call that one Pivot.
Where is it?
Exactly. That's my. Is it even? Here it goes.
All right, let's talk about Renfield. Renfield stars Nicholas Hoult as Renfield. He is the lead character of the story. He's the assistant to Count Dracula, played by Nicolas Cage. Awkwafina is in the film as a cop with a moral character who she just wants to get the bad guys, drug dealers, violent drug dealers who have taken over her district, and her police precinct is incredibly corrupt. Everyone is bought off. Awkwafina seems to be the only good cop in her precinct. And when she encounters Renfield, who has just taken out a bunch of horrible drug dealers by violently dispensing with them, they end up teaming up, not necessarily wanting to, but teaming up to take out this band of drug dealers with Count Dracula waiting in the wings. Renfield is ultra violent, super fun. It's just over 90 minutes. It's Nicolas Cage on fire, unhinged. Without giving anything away, I will talk about the story in the first half of the movie. You meet Renfield and Dracula with a nod to the old school Bela Lugosi black and white Dracula movies. It's fantastic. Nicolas Cage is on fire in this role. He is he's gone full Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage also, I would argue, is a genre of film. You could just watch Nicolas Cage movies for weeks. It is a genre. He is captivating. He is having fun in this role. The weird teeth, where he's got these sort of bizarre pointy teeth, and the violence is ultra violent, over the top comic book. People's arms being ripped off, heads being smashed, heads chopped off, limbs being ripped. The blood pours out like a geyser from a garden hose. Like it's like Tokyo Gore Police. If you've ever seen Tokyo Gore Police, that's just over the top violence where it's comical at times. It's super fun. Is this the greatest movie of the year? No. Did I have a great time watching it? Yes. The audience that I was with applauded at the end. They were laughing throughout. It's ridiculous. Nicholas Holt's character goes kind of on this journey where there's this whole thread, which I think is very well done, about mental illness and coping and dealing with codependency, a toxic codependent relationship. How do you break out of this codependent relationship? So Renfield joins a support group of people, basically, to get themselves through their codependency. How do they deal with this toxic relationship they're in? And Renfield's in a toxic relationship. And he's just trying to get away from Count Dracula, who, I mean, his powers are crazy. So he can float, he can transform into bats, and then like these bats sort of reform into his human form. He can kill you in an instant. It's so fun. It feels influenced also by like a comic book graphic novel. So at the end of the day, Renfield is not a great movie, but a super fun movie. I had a blast watching it with a packed crowd. I strongly recommend it. You will have fun at the movies, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Alan, what did you think of Renfield?
Didn't like it as much as you. My feeling about the movie is there's a lot of things that are really good in this movie, and there are a lot of things that are really bad in this movie. And ultimately, it becomes this battle between can the good overcome the bad? And for me, it kind of barely does. Some of the bad is, the support group thing. I like the idea, the execution. I think the trailer makes it look worse than it is, but I'm still, it just feels too comic-y. Also, support groups. I'm not sure that support groups are run like that from my experience.
Right.
Where kind of, I don't know if he was the author of the book that was being used there, but that's not how support groups work. But okay, minor quibble. But it's just played a little too light and a little too on the nose in terms of the way it plays out in the end. The other thing is Awkwafina is horribly miscast in this movie. She plays a cop. She plays a cop. The problem is when you see her on screen, she does not have the weight and gravitas of a cop. The way she walks, the way she looks in her body armor, looks, you look at her and it's like, this is an actress playing in a cop costume, and we're supposed to believe that, you just can't say she's a cop and then we'll believe she's a cop. You've got to look like it. You got to walk like it. So she's just, I personally, I like Awkwafina. The whole hip hop thing controversy she's gone through, I feel was unwarranted, but she is objectively bad in this movie and miscast. Should have done at least a little bit of research, gone to a police academy, learned how to be a cop, how to walk like a cop, how to walk into a room with a gun, how to search a room. These things, she just it's lazy. It's lazy research because she didn't do any research for this.
First of all, it's rare that you see happening live on the show. I never thought I'd see it. Asian on Asian violence. This is Alan. Your words are violence.
Well, no, but if I didn't say anything, then silence is violence.
Well, so, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That the weakest part of the movie is Awkwafina. Another woman in that role would have knocked it out of the park. If you can get over her, I feel like she's also.
Michelle Yeoh could have done it if you wanted.
Here's the problem. Is that she is sort of the co-lead with Renfield. If she was, if Awkwafina's character was a side character for comic relief, fine. The problem is she's sort of teamed up with Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult is very good.
Yeah.
He's very good in the role. But Awkwafina, I can't disagree with you, Alan. She is the weakest part of. That's why this movie is not like I'm sitting here telling you this is not the greatest movie ever. I would probably put it at a fun between a 6 and a 7. Okay, that's where I'd put this movie in terms of rating.
Look, Nick Cage embraced Dracula. He understood the character. He probably, he's probably been a fan for a long time. He probably understands how he would play Dracula, and he went for it. You can't say that for Awkwafina. She took the role and did zero research for it, and just decided, hey, if I act tough, people will understand I'm a cop. And
the thing is this, who plays Awkwafina in the movie? You know what Awkwafina plays in the movie? Awkwafina.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is Awkwafina in the movie. Awkwafina is not a character in the movie. I mean, the same thing with Shang-Chi, I feel like she was fine in small doses. In Crazy Rich Asians, I actually liked her character because she was the comic relief, and she's not the lead, and she goes away for a long time, and then she comes back. Oh, I like her. She's kind of funny. She's crazy character. And then she goes away. But when she is a featured character in a film, she's just playing herself. I feel like Awkwafina is very good at playing Awkwafina and not much else. And she is the weakest part of the movie. But if you can set that aside, part of the thing is, I'll like a movie better if I have a couple of drinks before, and it depends on the type of movie I'm about to see, right? But it's just like, I'm going to see Renfield, I'm not going to see an Oscar movie, right? So, yeah, I mean, CD Stein 69.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, she only plays herself in movies.
Well,
That's
and that there's nothing wrong with that. I think Tom Cruise plays himself in movies. When you're an actor, you're great when you're comfortable with the role you're in. She was great in The Farewell because she was comfortable with that role. She worked in Shang-Chi because she was comfortable in that role. She is not comfortable in this role, and it just the body language says it all in this film.
Yeah. Well, the chat is on fire right here. Shuxy, I prefer Poland Spring to Aquafina. There you go. We'll get to your chat comments and questions. I want to wrap up our thoughts here on Renfield. Alan, I think you're giving it a mild recommendation.
A mild recommendation. The best thing about it is Nick Cage as Dracula. The over-the-top comic book violence is amazing. And Nicholas Hoult does a really good job kind of being the glue that holds the zaniness and the seriousness together. And he does not break character at all in this entire movie. And that's just a testament to how good he is in this movie.
Well, because he's not making like little dumb side jokes. That's Aquafina's job. And she makes way too many side jokes as a cop. Yeah. Like it just doesn't make sense. Maybe her character shouldn't have been a cop. You could have told that story without her being a cop. Right? Like she could have been something else. And I think it's also like a lot of things with this. Aquafina is, I think, a very good side character, comic relief in a movie. She works in that sense. But when it comes to like being someone who can carry a film, I don't think she can do it. Not even as like a secondary lead. So.
Well, I mean, to me, that's all about casting, finding the right role for her. I think she could do it. The Farewell, she did it. But that was
a different movie. That's a totally different movie.
But you're saying, can she carry a movie? The answer is if you give her the right role, she can.
Well, look, I sort of give it a little better recommendation, a 6.5, just because Nicolas Cage is so good. Nicholas Hoult he plays it totally deadpan straight. And it's great. Let's go to your comments and questions. Then we have to talk about Beau is Afraid. Then Uwe Boll is going to be here in 30 minutes, folks. Get ready for Uwe Boll. Imperfect says Nicolas Cage is the GOAT. You must see Mandy if you haven't. Mandy is one of my favorite Nick Cage movies. I have the Blu-ray. The Chicago Box, Nick Cage playing Nick Cage's version of something is always good. He always has like a really interesting take. The Chicago Box, Nick Cage is not an actor. He's Nick Cage. He's quickly becoming, he's a legend. It's like I say, Nick Cage is a genre film. The movie was so much fun, says Latino Slant. Aaron Taylor, Eric Weber smashing his keyboard right now as music plays. Jenny G.
You hated this one too.
Jenny G for 5. Gore Rant to date. I think you expressed the way people are feeling so well. I hope your platform continues to grow. We need your voice. Oh, well, thank you for saying so. I hope we're trying to get to 169,000. That's our goal. I know a lot of YouTubers, and I want to get to 100,000 so I get that plaque. I don't care about the plaque. I want the Film Threat channel to get to 169,000 and then 269,000 and so on. Ram Bam 3000 says, and most important, he can walk in daylight like Stoker's original Count. Wonky Man, it looks fun. I'll watch anything with Nick Cage. It's fun. It's also, the thing is, if this movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes, I wouldn't have given it a recommendation. It's like just over 90 minutes. You're in, you're out, you had a good time. That's what a movie needs to do. Also, nobody asked, but guess what? There's nothing really woke about it, is there? See?
Yeah.
There's nothing. John Manlink, 1,000% Chris Gore. Nicolas Cage deserves its own streaming platform. That would be great if someone made a streaming platform of only Nicolas Cage movies and you could subscribe to it. Sean BS says, yes, Nick Cage is a genre. He's the most original actor of his generation. Nobody acts like him. No method BS. Toxic Waltz N8, good to see you here. Weber is a contrarian film critic a la Armand White. Yeah, I would agree. It's always like, what does Eric think? And then I'm like, yeah, I'll probably think the opposite. Rambam 3000, can he turn into Mist? I don't think he turns into Mist that I remember. Patrick Lemire, it sucks when your bad boss is immortal, for sure. Aaron Taylor says, is the sequel going to be Igor? That would be kind of cool to do.
Wasn't that movie already out? Wasn't that a Daniel Radcliffe thing?
I'm not sure. Imperfect says, if you're a vampire and you always kill druggies, does that make you a drug addict? Possibly. If you drink someone's blood and they've been drinking alcohol, are you drunk? The Chicago Box says, not looking for Gone with the Wind here. Yeah, exactly. Totally agree with Alan on this one. It is entertaining enough, but has a lot of problems. Mike MC Wong, again, Asian on Asian violence here. I just have to point that out. Blue Tiger says Marvel's KDTM. Toxic Waltz N8.
By the way, Mike MC Wong and I are typical. Oh, no, I'm just saying, Mike MC Wong and I are typical Asian parents. We expect the best out of our kids, and so
there you are.
Awkwafina could have done better.
Toxic Waltz N8. Pig got robbed at award season. I would agree with that. She's miscast in every movie. Lol, says Mob 19001. Jocelyn, I can't stand her. John Manalang, I like Awkwafina in Crazy Rich Asians, but Shang-Chi, but man, does she play the same character over and over. Yeah, that's, I think, the problem. She was good in Crazy Rich Asians, but she was the comic relief, and she didn't get a lot of screen time. Latino Slant, really, Alan? This is a silly comedy. She was fine. No one in this film was the real deal.
She could have done a minimum of research the role of a cop.
I just think she should not have been a cop. Like that, it was not believable in the least. Aaron Taylor, as someone that has studied policing, not one person in human history has ever said, thank God a female officer has arrived. Female cops are rarely as Alan describes, unfortunately. Hello, computer. I've seen some cops like that in the past few years. Like cops that I feel like I could beat up. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, and look, I'm not small, but I'm not like the big, look, I'm 5'10". I'm a, average build, but yeah, I've seen some cops lately where I'm like, I think I could make a run for it. I think I could get out of this one. James Ricciuti says, I could teach Awkwafina to hold herself like a cop. I'm available for hire, says James Ricciuti. Oh, that's great. You should. They should have hired somebody to help her. I can't recommend Farewell enough, says Mike MC Wong. I loved Farewell. I thought that was very good. Wayward Noodle for 5 says Cage was great thinking he was a vampire in Vampire's Kiss circa 1988. I would agree. Divina Duckworth, 690,000. And Kyle Lovelace says, Kyle Lovelace became a YouTube member. Oh, thank you for that. The Real Monkey Rogue says Asian expectations don't equal Asian hate.
Yeah, otherwise, my parents would have been really racist.
Jocelyn says, Alan, should I watch Crazy Rich Asians because I'm half Asian?
No, you need to be full Asian. Sorry.
What? I'm not anything, and I watched it. Yeah. Thought it was fun.
I know. I think I need a sarcasm banner or something because
Alan is often Alan is usually being sarcastic a lot of the time. So there you go. Patrick Lemire says, reminds me of Chris Tucker. That dude was exactly the same in everything, except for he's much better in Air. And I don't mind Chris Tucker. In Air, he is fantastic. Again, it's screen time. Chris Tucker has like 3 or 4 scenes. He's really good, but he's not in the whole movie. He's not like a critical character. He is a critical character, but he doesn't have like a huge amount of screen time.
Yeah. And he's not doing Chris Tucker comedy, like Rush Hour.
He is
he's playing a role.
He's playing a role. He's organically in the film and he works. So Renfield, mild recommendation from Alan. I give it a little bit more of a recommendation. If you know what you're getting into, you're going to have a lot of fun.
Well, I also think that the stuff that's bad, if you really dwell on that, you're going to hate the movie.
Right. Alan, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. So just a second here, real quick.
69, 69, 96. Let's go. 69. You still there? No. All right, let's go to some of the other comments. Hey, yes, Akinika. Yes, Alan needs a sarcasm banner. That's what I thought last time, because read a couple comments and it's like, okay. People actually think I'm serious. Let's see. Crazy Rich Asians, Aaron Taylor. Crazy Rich Asians is to Asians what Fight Club is to white men. Okay, I have to think about that one for a moment. Fear of the Terms 21. I don't have an issue with actors playing the same role. Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds in every role, but it works. The role needs to work in context with the movie, which Awkwafina doesn't always do. Absolutely. And this was one of those.
All right, we're gonna pivot quick here. We're gonna talk about something different. Okay? Get ready for this. Beau is Afraid is one of the worst movies of 2023. Ari Aster, who did the films Hereditary and Midsommar. Hereditary is a very good horror film that is shocking, that has twists that you don't see coming, and there are images in Hereditary and things that happen in Hereditary that are haunting that I still think about. Midsommar, up the ante with a film that looks like it's going one way, takes a sharp turn into darkness, and is also shocking and haunting with a horrific ending that you don't exactly see coming. And it did not do quite as well as Hereditary, which I think was much more accessible. Midsommar was less accessible of a film. And Beau is Afraid, which is at 2 hours and 59 minutes, 1 minute shy of 3 hours, is a slog to get through. Joaquin Phoenix plays the title character, Beau, who is on a trip to visit his mother, his overbearing mother, who he learns passed away in a shocking accident. This all happens within the first 15 minutes of the movie. A chandelier fell from a ceiling and smashed her head. She is dead. Now Beau needs to get to the funeral to deliver the eulogy for his overbearing mother. On his journey, which is described in the press materials as being like a Lord of the Rings Odyssey, about a man going to visit his mother, you end up seeing flashbacks about Beau, where he learns a little bit about his father and his grandfather's history. Both of them had bad tickers. They had heart murmurs that resulted in their deaths upon having sex and ejaculating for the first time. Yes, this is the story of this film. Beau is a person who lives in fear even when he's in his own apartment. And I can't say that I wasn't entertained with the beginnings of the movie as the film began to get its bearings. Beau lives in this apartment where he's not playing music. He has a neighbor that's constantly throwing notes under the door saying, "Turn your music down." He's not playing any music. The notes continue to come fast and furious. There's a notice that's posted up by the management of the building. Watch out for poisonous brown spiders. The outside of his place looks like downtown Los Angeles. There are naked homeless people running around, people with knives, shotguns being heard. Just running across the street to get a bottle of water is a challenge for Beau, who is on prescription medication. It seems like everyone in this movie is on prescription medication. There might be a thread there. Beau goes on this journey where he is in a car accident, and then a very helpful family wants to bring him back to health after this car accident. And the movie diverts for more than 40 minutes with stuff that happens that has nothing to do with the main plot of the movie. My biggest beef with this film is the slog pace at which it goes. This film could have been cut down under 2 hours, and you wouldn't have actually gotten rid of any scenes. You just could have made everything tighter. You know, as things roll out with more and more flashbacks about what is ailing Beau and a big twist at the end of the film, there's a shocking scene. And I should say, I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler here about the end of the movie. So if you want to dip out, I'm only going to talk about it for about 1 minute. Dip out and come back. It's a quick spoiler. I'm going to give you a count. 3, 2, 1. Ari Aster is obsessed with attics. It played a part in Hereditary. It plays a part in this film. What's in the attic? Well, Beau goes up in the attic, and what does he find? A giant monster penis with testicles. I'm not making this up. It is a cartoonish penis that is about 8 feet tall with huge balls, ball sacks, and this sort of mushroomy penis with a face and teeth. And this is the monster in the attic, is a giant penis that Beau must confront. Now, I'm sure some pretentious, elitist, whatever, snooty academia people are going to read, well, the giant penis represents probably his penis and his anxiety about having sex. Parker Posey plays the adult version of a young girl that he was obsessed with when he was a kid. And he's very nervous about meeting her again. And that all plays out in a way that you can totally see coming. End of spoilers. It's ridiculous. It's laughable. A lot of the crowd, and it was a packed audience, by the way, packed audience that saw this movie, and people were laughing inappropriately throughout the movie. I'm not going to say there aren't any like good, weird laughs, but the film as a whole is like, what the hell did I just witness? This is the kind of movie a director would make late in their career, like a Spielberg, when you're like, you know what? I have the clout now to make a movie. I'm going to remake, not only am I going to remake West Side Story, I'm not putting in subtitles for people that don't speak Spanish. I'm not going to put in the subtitles. Forget it. You have to understand it in context. But this early in Ari Aster's career, I'm shocked that A24 allowed him to make this movie. It's huge budget. It reminded me of like a Fellini movie in the sense of it's a character kind of, weaving through situations where he meets a new group of people. In the forest, he meets a group of people who put on stage plays randomly. What? He's staying with a family and they're all crazy. Their daughter is pissed off that Beau is in her room. Like, it's just crazy. It reminded me also of a film, almost no one is going to remember this. It's a series of movies directed by British director, a filmmaker named Lindsay Anderson. He made a trilogy of movies called If, Oh Lucky Man, and it concluded with Britannia Hospital. It kind of reminded me of Oh Lucky Man, which is also that Fellini type. It stars Malcolm McDowell. Look up this trilogy. It's sort of loosely a trilogy, but Malcolm McDowell is the lead in these 3 films. In Oh Lucky Man, he's just sort of traversing life and running into different groups of people, and he's sort of the odd man out. And Beau is that character. This is awful. It's insulting to the audience. And there are A24 apologists. And A24, I think, has missed the mark this year with a lot of the movies. I've seen some trailers for some upcoming A24 movies. I don't know. I feel like they're maybe filled with hubris about, like, well, it's A24. Of course, people expect stuff to be weird. There is such a thing as good weird, right? David Lynch, when you look at the original Eraserhead, Okay, as much as it's like a fever dream, it does connect, right? It's about Henry's paranoia about their infant child and being locked in this apartment with this infant child, and everything kind of relates to that. But oh my God, Beau is Afraid. I hated this film. I hated it. And you're going to see, go to Rotten Tomatoes, you're going to see the critics are going to love it. I cannot wait until the audience reviews come out. They're going to be low. Stay away from Beau is Afraid. Alan, you did not see it.
I did not see it.
And I don't think you should. I don't think you should.
Yeah, go see Mafia Mama instead.
Sure. So, but let's get to your comments here about Beau is Afraid. Derek Davey says, was afraid Aster might get too far up his own butt. Oh, this is the furthest any director has gone up their own ass. That might be, that actually would make a great quote for a review. Do we have a review of Beau is Afraid on Film Threat yet?
Not yet, no.
Yeah.
No one's seen it. It came out, so I'll try to get someone.
Mike MC Wong says, I actually liked Beau more than Midsummer. Maybe you
By the way, it's 75% on Rotten Tomatoes with 51 reviews.
So what is it? 70 what percent?
75%.
Okay. Superhero movies are the best movies. This movie put Eric Weber into a stupor. I mean, just how bad is this movie? Just as bad as I described. It's shockingly bad. Toxic Waltz N8. How many times did Chris go to the bathroom during the 3-hour runtime? 3 times. I'm answering the question.
Did you really have to go to the bathroom?
I did. I really had to go. But when I went, it's like a couple other people were just like, oh my God. Like, people fell asleep. It was, the audience was like, and someone just said, what the hell did I just see? At the end, people were just pissed. I thought Chris is supposed to have the opposite opinion that Weber has most of the time, but not all the time. Eric Weber can have an opinion that I agree with. Toni Collette should have been nominated for her role in Hereditary, but Beau is Afraid looked very confusing, said Solomon Thornton. I'll say this, Beau is Afraid has a great trailer. The trailer for Beau is Afraid is fantastic.
So you're saying they found the 4 good moments in Beau is Afraid?
No, it's clever. You know what I wanted to see? You know what movie I wanted to see? The movie that was the trailer. And the trailer is not the movie. They're very different. Very different. Toxic Waltz N8. Is this a spoiler review? Because I was really looking forward to this, and now I want to see it even more. Well, look, next week, when more people have seen this movie, next week, please chime in at the top of the show. Please chime in at the top of the show. I want to see I want to hear what other people have to say. Joaquin Phoenix creeps me out. He was good in The Joker, though, even though he should have been a savant on top of all the other issues, says Samuel Aratan. Grady Huckabee for 5 walked out of Beau is Afraid. You can be a bad movie. You can be a 3-hour movie, but you can't be both and expect me to stick around. Wow, Grady. Grady's part of our movie meetup group, which is
why you didn't see him after the movie was over.
No, he texted me after. It was hilarious. We actually have now a hashtag. This is true. We have a hashtag we have a hashtag now for our movie meetup group. Can I tell you what it is? It's hashtag movie Twitter meetup AMC Burbank 16 for cool people.
That's the hashtag?
Look up the hashtag and you'll see what movie we're going to see. It's on Twitter. Critique Corner for $4.99. Beau is Afraid sounds like an unfunny version of What About Bob? Precisely. John Waters would make this funny. Well, that's true. I love John Waters. John Waters is one of my favorite filmmakers, says Patrick Lemire. Really old movies, degeneracy at its finest. It's definitely degenerate, but it needs to be grounded in something. I almost feel like this would have been a much better film at under 2 hours. The self-indulgence to make this unnecessarily long, just shy of 3 hours. They must have told Ari Aster, hey, look, as long as it's not over 3 hours, good. He made a 2 hour and 59-minute movie. But it is kind of a fuck you to everyone, all the investors. Len Barnett, I love A24. They take so many risks. This one sounds like a miss. I am also with you. I really do love A24. Look, I'd rather see, here's this. I'd rather see a bad A24 movie than a good romantic comedy starring Jennifer Lopez. Does that make any sense? Like, I don't care about a Jennifer Lopez romantic comedy, whether it's made by Warner Brothers or Netflix or Paramount. Like, those are completely forgettable movies. We will be talking about how bad this movie is from, I don't know, for years to come. It's so funny because we saw a later screening at 7:00. Eric Weber went to like the 3:30. He just got out of the 3:30 screening of it, and he came over to our movie meetup at Yard House in Burbank, and nobody believed him. This shows you, because Eric also hated Renfield, and I'm like,
he hates everything. Yeah, he's very passionate about hating and liking things.
I hate, look, you could go like, Renfield, whatever, it's forgettable or whatever, but how could you hate it? It's like saying I bought In-N-Out and it was not a great cheeseburger. It's like, you ordered In-N-Out. You didn't go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Come on. You got to know your audience. You got to know like what the thing is. So yeah, I do agree with you, Len Barnett. Whenever I see A24, I pay attention. And they are not above like doing horror, like A24, when they do horror, it's usually very interesting, except for Bodies.
When you say that, we'll be talking about how bad this movie is for a long time. It feels like it's not, because I don't think people are going to see it.
No. What I mean is that years later, because Ari Aster is going to make some other movies, you're going to go, remember when he made Beau is Afraid? But this is here. It brings up an interesting point before I get to Aaron's comment here, Aaron Taylor. If you're an aspiring filmmaker, when this movie comes out, I want you to do a special edition cut of this movie. There might be, and I say might, there's a chance there's a very good version of this movie that is under 2 hours. All the stuff with the family, the nonsense with this crazy family when Beau is kind of stuck there, kind of healing from this car accident, you could cut the entire segment out and you would lose nothing. You could edit a 2 hour version of Beau is Afraid that is at least watchable. And so many scenes could just be shorter. It's just, this is a movie that is just shockingly bad. Back to Aaron Taylor's comment here. Anthony Lane, Beau is Afraid gave me the unsettling feeling that, owing to some administrative error, I had stumbled upon an extended therapy session instead of a movie. Oh, wow. That's a really interesting comment. I like that. Nicholas Vargo for $4.99. Aster was shocked A24 let him make this too. Still, I want to see it, even if it's horrible. At least I can say I saw one of the worst movies ever. I do think, actually, like, my expectation was I was going to see the movie that was portrayed in the trailer. I did not see that movie. I saw a different movie than what was in the trailer. So that was disappointing to me. I wanted to see the movie that was in the trailer. I didn't see that. So, disappointment. But I think if you lower your expectations, but you can find little nuggets. I'm not going to sit here and tell you there aren't some scenes that are worthwhile, but my God, 3 hours. Derek Rosenfeld, who's a member, thank you for that. Aster is a horror Tarantino wannabe. Very astute remark. I like that comment. Joe is not a Fed. How do we know that, Joe? How do we know that you're not a Fed?
He's paying us in Canadian dollars for one thing.
Well, there you go. For $2.69 Canadian, which is probably 269 American at this point. Isn't the dollar just tanking all over the world? Kind of crazy.
I don't even want to look that up.
Sorry. Joe is not a Fed. Great vampire comedy, 1979's Love at First Bite. Yeah. Yes, I remember that. I think I saw that.
George Hamilton, right?
Yes, George Hamilton as Dracula. It's a dumb comedy, but I did quite like it. Toxic Waltz N8, am I the rare person who actually enjoys being disappointed occasionally? It's like, well, let me just say on that, it's kind of fun to have like a palate cleanser for a film, like a movie that is so colossally bad, just so god awful that it's like it makes you appreciate when a movie is just fun and entertaining. So there you go. But Toxic Waltz N8 says, am I the rare person who actually enjoys being disappointed occasionally? Like, I don't seek it out, but I never brush it off and always take the time to think about why I don't like something. That's interesting comment, because I do try to think about, like, look, I just saw the movie yesterday. It's one of those things where I have in the past, this has happened very rarely with movie. I'll see a movie that I initially dislike or have a strong reaction to, that I kind of slowly grow to really love. Babylon was one of those movies. I was like, what the hell is this? And then I slowly turned more positive on that. And I'm not going to sit here and argue it's not a flawed film. Okay. That's not up for debate. It's flawed. It is too long, etc., etc. But I grew to enjoy that movie much more the more I thought about it and the more times I saw it. So there you go. Okay. All right. Alan, do you have any thoughts on this? Just, you've seen Hereditary, you've seen Midsummer. I mean, are you convinced?
No, I've not seen either of those.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I'm not a horror person, and from what I understand, they're pretty effective horror films, unlike the Pope's Exorcist.
Oh yeah. Can we? Well, look. Do we have time to get to a quick review of the Pope's Exorcist?
Probably could. Did you see it at all? Or?
I didn't get to see it. Let's do a quick review before Uwe Boll gets here. Yeah. Quickie. Quick review. Do we have a picture?
No.
All right. Let's just go with our generic.
Yeah.
There we go. Sorry, folks. We're doing a quick pivot. There we go. Alan, what did you think of the Pope's Exorcist?
I guess it was okay.
What?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I can fully admit I'm not. If you ask me if you ask me anything about horror films, the genres, I'm pretty much at a loss. I'm just not a fan of the genre. I tend to avoid it like the plague. This one was interesting because it's a true story. The main character, Father Gabriel, he played by Russell Crowe. He's a real person. He is the foremost Catholic exorcist, and he's caught in this situation where the Vatican wants to remove his positions because they don't believe in demon possession anymore. And so a case comes in Spain where a little boy is possessed by a demon, by a serious demon, and they send Father Gabriel to dispatch with the demon. And it becomes a story basically about who is this demon, why is he there. They have to discover his history and figure out a way to defeat that demon. It's got all the tricks and trades of a possession film, and I think, for the most part, I think it's effective. It's not The Exorcist, but if this is your style of a film, I think you're going to like it. I've said that before, and I've sorely regretted saying that. I wasn't scared at all. It relies a lot on the jump scares. But for me, because I'm fairly familiar with demon possession, with not from a Catholic standpoint, but from a evangelical Protestant standpoint, it's just kind of interesting to see, how far are they pushing the boundaries. And I thought that I kind of like that interplay that yes, something extraordinary is happening here, and finding a way to contextualize it in some serious way when it comes to the Catholic faith and even my faith. You know, and even the way the demon is defeated at the end kind of resonates with the Christian message. So I was amused. I wouldn't say it's the greatest movie I've ever seen. I don't know that I would see it again, but I wasn't. You know, I was somewhat engaged with it. So another tepid and mild recommendation for The Pope's Exorcist. I think it's fun enough to watch. And you know, Russell Crowe's great.
Well, okay, tell me about Russell Crowe. And
yeah,
like,
well, he plays Italian, which may throw you off.
Oh, I see. I don't like that. Like,
yeah.
I really liked Les Miserables, but he can't really sing.
He can't sing.
He can't sing.
Yeah, I mean, kind of his. I'm no expert in Italian accents either, and it felt very. I think if you're an Italian, you're gonna see it's a you know, it's a Westerner doing it. It's an Australian doing an Italian accent. I don't know that it sounds fluent to be believable, but you know, you'll get beyond it.
Well, I will say this: like, I saw the trailer for it and had no interest in the movie. Unfortunately, I just didn't have a lot of interest. Let's go to some quick comments here before Uwe Boll is going to join us in minutes. He's going to be joining us momentarily. So let's get to your quick comments. Sir Switch Crookington says, "Are exorcisms not a naked display of pure mental illness?"
Yeah, the beginning tries to make that distinction that this is a real exorcism and not someone crazy.
Razorburn says, "Does Russell Crowe scream, 'Are you not entertained?' during the movie?" Aaron Taylor says, "Alan has experience with demon possession."
Not hands-on experience, but it's a long story.
Bill S. Preston Esquire says, "I've tried to get into horror and too much of it is just disgusting gore and abuse. Examples, Audition, Hostel. Channel Starface sounds like one of the movies of all time. The Nerd Far Away, who's a member, don't get me wrong here. I don't ignore the existence of evil, nor do I disavow it. I try to minimize time spent around it." Brock Samsonite says, "How is this different than any other possession movie?"
My guess, it focuses, it tries to be authentic, and it focuses it strictly from the priest's standpoint.
Right. And yeah, but he played Italian in Gladiator and nobody complained. So there you go.
How much Italian did he speak in it?
Well, exactly. All right. And now it's time, folks. We're about to pivot here to where's our headline? Alan, did you make a headline?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I want to talk about director Uwe Boll. Director Uwe Boll, I believe, is a misunderstood person and a misunderstood filmmaker. He is the director of many video game movies you might have heard of. He's also the subject of what I think is a fantastic documentary that will get you into the mind of Uwe. It's called Fuck You All, the Uwe Boll Story. It is a warts and all telling of Uwe's journey as a filmmaker who, in the telling of this documentary, which was released in 2018, he quit the movie business to become a successful restaurateur. I'm sure you're familiar with a bunch of his films. One of my personal favorites is Postal, which gives no fucks. That's what I love about the movie. And this is pre-cancel culture. If the movie Postal was released today, they would try to cancel Uwe Boll. And what I love about him is he is uncancelable. And he is a person who doesn't care about his critics to the point where he will beat his critics up in the ring. And a lot of movie critics, Alan, we should find some of that footage of Uwe Boll.
I've got one up here.
Okay, cool. We're going to show it later because I want to get Uwe's reaction to it. I take Uwe Boll's films for what they are. They are fun exploitation movies. He's trying to entertain you. I believe he is thinking about the audience. And I've always admired a filmmaker that doesn't give a shit. Please welcome to the show, director Uwe Boll. Uwe, thank you so much for joining us. We're fans. We are fans of you, sir.
I heard it. Good. that you like Postal. It's also my favorite film because it's something you can watch over and over again, and you have a lot of fun watching it, right? So I mean, it's and I agree with you. A film like this would be like nobody would ever work again who would be in that film, and including myself. So, but I think actually it would need a new Postal. I always make the proposal, let's do Postal 2. And it's tough to do because, of course, now everybody is scared to even go so far with the humor, So, and it's a downfall. I think really comedies don't exist. I think even Hangover would not get made anymore. So, I mean, that is a big problem, So, and I love comedies and would love to have more of political incorrect comedies. I recently watched again like the airplane movies, like the crazy rides in air. I love that films and like Naked Gun and stuff like this. And it looks like it's all over because everybody's so scared shitless they could say or show something wrong or what people would offend. And good comedy should offend everybody.
Do you think you could personally remake Postal, or do you think like you'd have to water it down so much that it's just not that the heart is gutted out of it?
Yeah, I would not do it in a harmless way. I've wrote over the years ideas down, and they're totally incorrect, of course. But whatever, like George Floyd, you do the whole situation again, and he's just not dying after 3 hours. So I mean, it's like people would completely flip out about it, but I think it would be actually funny. But that is the thing. It's like you need to go to the extreme so that you feel free, right? So it's this kind of when I run around with Postal. In the few theaters, remember, there were like 1,000 theaters scheduled and then 10 showed it. They all canceled it, even at that point, because of the September 11th stuff in the beginning. And I went to the screenings and a lot of film festivals played it. And I said, look, it's no race, no religion, no nation. That is the spirit Postal is made. It's behind that. It's like, it's this kind of like, you don't have to be scared what skin tone you have, what nationality you come from. Humor brings us all together, and but this kind of like entitlement, kind of crazy fear what came out in the last few years is just, it went over the top.
I think actually Postal was way ahead of its time. And I believe I saw a screening. It was at the ArcLight Cinemas, which has since closed, and you were there for a Q&A. It was fantastic. And in your incredible accent at the end of the Q&A, I recall you saying to the audience, hello, any final solutions? And I think you meant final questions.
Yeah.
But hearing you say it with your accent, I thought you got a big laugh out of me. I don't know if you meant that on purpose, but I think Postal was just ahead of its time. It was way ahead of its time in its humor.
I agree. It aged well, right? So I did 34 films, and when I go to like a convention or I go somewhere, you can say 50% of the DVDs I have to sign are Postal, 50%. And all the other 33 films doing the other 50%. And there were, of course, a lot of other films that were in a way more successful financially as Postal. But I think everybody watched it. I don't know how, and then maybe never got money for it, and it was for free on Amazon Prime or whatever. But I met, like, look, I did a film in New York right now, and my editor, like Ethan Manikis, he did all the Robert Rodriguez films, like from Dusk Till Dawn, whatever. And I met him last year, first time in November, and he came. I didn't know who he was, and then he said, "I love Postal." He said, like, "I love that film," And that is like a little moment, but you think, okay, so Postal went around, like people also in the film industry or whatever, they watched it, they're aware of the film, and but it never got any real, let's say, wide credit, you know, as one of the most political incorrect satires maybe in film history, to be honest. I'm a big film buff too. I watch everything, and I never saw a film like Postal before or after. And that was the whole point, you know, doing something what goes above this, what other people would dare to do. And I would love to do like a Postal Netflix TV series or something and really go for it. There's so much stuff happened in the last 10 years. It's just insane. We're living in a better world for a movie like Postal in a way, as it was the time when I did the film.
Did you have trouble casting that film? I mean, it felt like it was controversial even making it at the time. And you got some pretty big names in that film as well.
Yeah, I was surprised that we did the casting in LA, and even for the casting, a lot of people came with real names, you know, where you feel like Seymour Cassell, J.K. Simmons, you know, like we had Vern Troyer and whatever, Zach Ward, there were Michael Huddleston, the Big Lebowski. So there were a lot of small parts, like not with superstars, but with names everybody knows. And Dave Foley, you know, everybody knows that people, and they loved it. They went all in, and they said, no, I love it. When I read it, they said, I want to be in it. And I think that changed too. You know, I think, unfortunately, the agents now have more control about the actors in a way, you know, and they would never put them in a film like this, what is a big mistake from what I feel, you know. So I think it's, as an actor, you have maybe Nicolas Cage will play Postal too, you know, because he's not scared, you know, at least that is why I love Nicolas Cage, you know. It's because it's just like this kind of the craziness is in him, and he just goes for it, whatever it is, whatever part it is. But a lot of actors are not like this. I think there are a lot of actors now, they're all planning out their career and thinking, if I do this, then I could get this and whatever. I want to be in a Star Wars film and make $25 million in the end. So,
well, Juve, I think we need you in Hollywood more than any other time. This town is scared. And the thing I've always admired about you is you're fearless. You don't give a fuck what other people think, but you're also not afraid to even go after your critics. I want to ask you about, we got some video to show. I don't know if everyone knows this story of when you challenged your critics. And I thought the critics were cruel in the sense that, did they understand the even exploitation movie genre, which is a legitimate genre that I personally love? I love Italian exploitation movies. I love Charlie Band films and Lloyd Kaufman from Troma Films. And I feel like you kind of know what you're making with your movies. And I feel like a lot of sort of youngish critics just did not get what it is you were trying to do. Let's share a clip here. So what you did was how you handled this, and I love this. You challenged your critics, your movie critics, to get in the ring and fight you. Let's see. We've got some video here that we can show to show our audience. Can play the video, Alan.
I'm playing it right now.
Yeah. It's can you turn up the audio a little bit?
Oh, you want the audio? Okay.
Yeah. Ooh. And he oh my God.
One, that's for sure.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jeff
Snyder, there were four guys.
Boll a little run for his money.
And that is Jeff Schneider. He was with I think he's with Variety or Hollywood Reporter or something now.
Why don't you play it without sound, Alan? Play it without sound.
I think Chris Alexander stands a bit of a chance here, to be honest with you. He
okay,
looks
yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. Just play it. Oh, that's great. So what happened? Here's the thing. You trained. Some of these guys were like, it's a goof. It's just for fun, whatever. They got in the ring and you decimated everyone. One guy, I mean, I've seen other footage of it. It's fantastic. It's so great. What was the story behind that?
It was like when Blood Rain came. I basically got exactly the same review as I got for Alone in the Dark or House of the Dead. And I felt like, okay, guys, did you actually watch my films? I mean, it's just like Uwe Boll makes a film, and they all have, every article till today starts with he won the Golden Raspberry. What is a joke, because I won it for Postal, and I think Postal is a masterpiece and should not be nominated for a Raspberry. You know, if I would want it for Alone in the Dark, I would understand it in a way. But a Postal is not the worst film of the year whatsoever. And I felt like, okay, you know what? If you judge me like this, if you even don't watch the films at all and you just write the same review, but you just exchange the title, then I want to fight you. I want to destroy you because you tried to destroy me. And that was like how I put it out there. And then these 4 guys signed up, and we did a whole thing in the Plaza of Nations in Vancouver. Michael Paré was the ring announcer. There were a lot of people we were shooting at that time, maybe In the Name of the King or something. Kristanna Loken was there. I don't think even Jason Statham was there. So so we had a full house, and then we did the boxing. And then most of them were fine after I talked to them and everything, and they changed their opinion even about me a little more after we had like the next day like a real talk. But one of them said like, I promised not to hit them. But that is bullshit. You know, it was crystal clear it will be a real fight. They got all the mouthpiece, they got the helmet on. They were a day or 3 days before there, even 3 days before there, and they went to a training gym, and they had a doctor check them out. So they were aware it's not bullshit. It's like it will be a real fight. And but they were not prepared. I boxed when I was younger, so I know I can survive, right? So I know whoever comes, and I never saw these guys before, so I had no clue how tall they were, how heavy they were before they arrived in Vancouver. And and then I trained for it, so that at least I was cardio-wise, like my condition was good, because beating up 4 people in a row is also hard, to be honest. It's like you get tired too. So yeah.
We've got a lot of the chat is on fire, by the way, for you. Would you mind taking a bunch of questions and comments from our audience?
Yeah, no
got like over 400 people watching live right now. So let's see. The Jedsters says legend. John Manilang says, Mr. Boll, it is an honor and privilege to be able to thank you for your video game movies. My friends and I had the best times at the theater with your films. Hail Uwe Boll. And Killick69 says the Postal games are still popular. So yes, there you go.
Just came out with a new one, and there will be also a documentary. They interviewed me also, and some of our actors. There will be a documentary coming about like 20 years of Postal, the game, and we of course are part of it with the film.
Navy Lack says Uwe the master ranter. And question here from Solomon Thornton asks, comedy is all about making fun of society and yourself. I was taught to never make fun of yourself. Do you have any advice for filmmaking?
No, I think you should make fun of yourself too. I mean, you need to basically be able to make a fool out of yourself too. I think it's very important to not take yourself too serious, you know. But advice of filmmaking, it's very tough. I mean, the only thing I can say is it got way cheaper to make films now. You can shoot it on a cell phone in 5K and have something everybody could show, you know. So it's not so expensive anymore with 35mm and everything. That helps. But we're also living in an invasion of little filmmakers who put their stuff up every day on YouTube and TikTok and so on. And so it's tough now to find coming into the film industry. You know, it's not so easy, I think. And now, of course, we have all the streamer. When I said 2016 after Rampage 3, I'm done, I'm not doing it anymore, that was after Blockbuster went bust, basically, and it was kind of over. You know, my films sold very good on DVD, Blu-ray, and so on worldwide. And I saw that business dying. And at that point, it was not visible how strong the streamers will go. Like, and now the streamers are everywhere. And I think that was one of the reasons for me to say I want to make movies again. I missed it really a lot, and I felt the whole time, fuck, I'm too young to stop making films, so I want to make films. And then with the streamers now, I felt let's go back into the business. But I faced problems. I went to Netflix and so on. They bought a lot of my films, but they don't give me the money to make a film.
More comments here from
financially, of course. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. It's just the chat. People really want to. Theoden, King of Brohan, says comedy is a challenge or critique of society. The authoritarians don't like that. And Brock Samsonite says, if comedy offends you, it's because you relate to it and you're uncomfortable with the truth it's trying to teach you. And Jericho Leon says, we need Uwe Boll movies now more than ever. And John Manilang says, Postal was certainly way ahead of its time. And then a question here, Imperfect asks, how does Uwe feel about Paul W.S. Anderson?
I mean, he is more like, I think I have a different kind of approach to films in general. I did video game based films, but I did also a lot of original films and a lot of films not necessarily science fiction and this kind of genre, and from this point of view, I don't want to compare me. He made some big successes too, but similar to like Michael Bay and so on, I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of directors. Let's say it this way, right? So, yeah, basically.
Graham Robbins says Rampage is colossally underrated. And then CP Kearney for $4.99 says we wouldn't have Mario without Boll's game adaptations. And then Kronos Goodwisen says, what would Uwe Boll's version of Super Mario Brothers movie have looked like?
I don't know, R-rated.
How do you do R-rated Mario?
No, I know I would not do that. But it's also interesting that this week was that big article, I think in the Hollywood Reporter of Variety, about video games are the new comic books, and I twittered, did you talk 20 years ago with me about a new idea, I mean, even when I started, there was Wing Commander, Street Fighter before me. So, and then I started making a lot of that films. That is the reason I got so much, I think, trashed in public and from the reviewers, because they don't like this kind of films. Yeah. So they are not fans of this kind of content. And then whatever I did after, from Postal and so on with Rampage, for example, Assault on Wall Street, Darfur, like other films, I never had the feeling they actually get over it. They always started with Alone in the Dark and Tara Reid was horrible, whatever, but they never in a way gave that other films a real view or a real shot. But the fans did. I always said to a lot of people when they interviewed me, whatever, I said, look, go on Amazon, go on Postal, go on Rampage, and look at the commentaries after under the film. And these people watched the films, and it's a lot of times the opposite to the IMDb rating. What comes on Rotten Tomatoes, what only comes from professional film critics. I think a lot of that ratings, they didn't even watch the films, but the people watched it. And I think Rampage, similar to Postal, is maybe with Postal, these are my most important films I did, because they're really reflecting like a society in a way, and I think Rampage is the bad brother from Postal in a way, that it's very violent and bitter, but at the same time also kind of a satire.
I just watched Rampage last night. What was the reception you got when that movie first came out? And do you think it would have been different had it come out today?
No, from the fans or also genre fans, they loved it from the beginning on. They were like, "Oh my god, wow!" Yeah. So because it's a movie, I love films, and I like it that you said in the beginning, like, I don't want to make boring films. I think the biggest job for a filmmaker is to not bore the audience. And a lot of times I unfortunately have that with other films I'm watching, where you sit there and you think like, I mean, what the fuck? It's good acting, The Year of the Dog or whatever with Benedict Cumberbatch, whatever. It gets, like everybody flips out about it. Or all that Oscar-nominated films like Coda, Minari, all that films. You watch that stuff and you think like, they're good films in a way, but I give a shit and I'm not engaged and I'm bored and checking my emails the whole time, and that is the thing. And I try to make films, they definitely don't bore you. And that you also don't know necessarily how they turn, what type, that you don't know from like the first scene on how that film will end. And I think that is important for me, at least as a filmmaker, but also as a just film fan. So, and Rampage got actually also the best reviews from the real reviewers, let's say, from all of my films, because they had to, I got in Germany last year, like a big article in the Welt. It's like basically similar to the Washington Post. Like it's a real big newspaper in Germany. And the guy wrote a whole page about me, and he said during the COVID pandemic, he watched all my films. And as originally wrote that big write-up. And then he said in an article, he said Rampage is for him a masterpiece. And he said that is just hands down one of the most influential films he watched in his film, in his life. And I think because it is so ruthless, it is so cynical as the world we're living in, where you have like, whatever, a war in Africa and everybody gets hacked into pieces, like the Darfur thing where I made a film about, where 500,000 people got really killed with machetes and stuff, and nobody gave a shit because nobody gives a shit about the Sudan. But then when the Ukraine gets attacked by Russia, we basically have to flood them with weapons, and we have the glorious fight for freedom and all that moral stuff what we put on situations is so fake, and only if it fits economically and political, we play the moral thing, right? And then, but when we don't care because we cannot make any money, we just let everybody die. And that is the thing. It's and I think in Rampage, it's so absurd because he's basically going on that rampage and basically annihilating the whole city, but it's only about the money. It's the perfect cover-up for the bank robbery he did, and even counterfeit the money and acts like, I have to give a shit about the money, I burn it all. But in reality, he has the money and walks away, and nobody will investigate the bank robbery after you killed like 250 people. So, and I think that, for me, was the kicker why I wrote it this way, that it's like the greed is steering us. In society and so on. And I think that was, for me, the reason to tell it like this.
More comments and questions here from our audience. Sir Switch Crookington says, Far Cry was hilarious. Rampage and Postal were decent too.
Good.
And my Greasy Guido says, my friends and I love how chilling the Rampage trilogy is. Did you plan to make 3 of them from the beginning?
No. It was really like this, like after Rampage turned into a very good like the reception was good for Rampage worldwide, and it was really sold in 100 countries. And then I felt, what would Bill Williamson do now after the money? Like, he got the money, now he had to run away because at one point they would otherwise catch him, so he had to go underground. And what would happen to him in 2-3 years later? And that is why it came to Rampage 2 and then to Rampage 3 to finish up the story. You cannot have him get away. A lot of people were very disappointed that Bill Williamson dies in part 3, but I felt like you cannot get somebody getting away forever with something like this. It would be highly unlikely that he can cheat the system 3 times. So I think it was more a realistic ending. And then I got tons of emails, have Bill Williamson's son coming. coming because he has a little baby in the part 3. And I said, yeah, in 17 years we do part 4. That when he grows up.
Yeah. Matthew Hammond for 2 says, could we get a movie about reality show cooking? People are asking about your restaurant career. And then someone goes on to say, Uwe, are you going to make movies again? Are you pivoting from restaurant business back to the movie business?
Yeah, so I just shot a film in New York. So First Shift is a police film where basically we have Gino Pesi, the actor. He played with Jennifer Lopez in the TV show. He was her love interest, and what was it, Shades of Blue. So with Ray Liotta, and he was the lover and state attorney. So he played with he plays a cop who basically works alone, and then they bring Kristen Renton in, who was in like Sons of Anarchy and a lot of other things, as the new partner, and he doesn't want her. So the classical cop situation basically, but they have to now drive together in the first shift, and in that 12 hours of the first shift they do together, mostly Brooklyn, Long Island, Queens, and so on, they getting from like heartbreaking situations to real in deep shit. And that is the film. And I've wrote it, we shot it in New York. That is basically the comeback. I have a few more projects in the development, and I'm looking for the right actors. So you need the actors to sell the film. And we had in First Shift is more like an ensemble. So I was happy to have like people like Daniel Soli, and for example, he was in The Deuce. The bad guy was James Franco. He was the mafia guy. Gary Pastore was also in The Deuce, and The Irishman. And so we had a lot of like this kind of mafia guys in it. People know James McMillan from Orange is the New Black, Brandy Bravo. So I think we had a very good cast together, but more like an ensemble cast without big stars. But I think believable cast, and I'm happy with the film. And I have Ethan Manikis, the guy from Sin City and so on. So he will edit it in LA. So I mean, that will be the first one, and I hope I can do a few more. But of course, I'm also this kind of, I cannot just shoot and pay it all myself. So I need partners, and I need hopefully some streamers, they believe in me. I just need 1 or 2 good people from the streamers who are Boll fans, who love Rampage or who love Postal or Soul on Wall Street, and say, look, why we don't give this guy 10 million and he makes a film for us. I mean, that is what I hope we can pull off in the next 12 months for another one.
Some other comments here. Navy Lax 2 for 20 Danish krona says, Uwe Boll is your 70s director. We were having a discussion earlier about great films being made in the 70s and how they don't make them anymore. And so that's a comment on our earlier discussion. Gabriella Condor sends in 20 euros. Thank you for that. And then a question here from possibly someone who wants to step in the ring and fight you. Mike MC Wong asks, how do you manage to get people to fund your movies? They do not perform well and routinely get awful reviews, but you kept securing necessary funding.
Yeah, it's strange. Huh? So somebody is then not right. When they always say they don't perform well, it's just not true. Right? But you know what? A lot of times, this kind of the Hollywood Reporter and this kind of magazines, they look only into the box office. And say whatever, the film cost 10 million and made 5 million box office as an example, it's a flop. But it's just not true. When you do then 20 million in DVD sales, or like stuff like this, and a lot of foreign sales to everywhere from Brazil to Japan, you still can recoup money. And it's true that In the Name of the King was in US a box office flop. I totally agree, but it was also not the whole advertising was not really strong, But I think Fox made 45 million in DVD sales. So, and I mean, that is the thing. And I think a lot of people should look a little deeper into how films can recoup money, even if the box office was not so strong. And you have to see also, they were not so expensive. Like Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain, Postal, House of the Dead, Far Cry. These are all films in that $10 to $30 million level, and not like they spend crazy amounts of money now for even streaming films, where they spend $160 million for a film who's 2 weeks on a streaming channel and it disappears forever and doesn't really make any revenues. So, and what I feel also interesting to see is when they all said, for example, House of the Dead made 11 million box office in US, or Alone in the Dark made like 6 million box office in US. And they're all like, oh, the Armageddon, the worst results ever. But years later, I can show you 150 films. They completely tanked. They make $2 million box office, and they had superstars and were 80 million to make. So it's not like I was the only one where film tanks. There are a lot of people, they tanked a lot of money with films that were way more expensive. Yeah.
Matthew Hammond for 2 asks, can Uwe Boll tell us how he got into filmmaking? I mean, I would recommend watching the documentary because it's such a great, that Fuck You All documentary about you is fantastic. And kudos to you for being a part of that documentary. It's really fascinating. But how to answer Matthew Hammond's question?
I think everybody has their own biography, how you get into film. I was not connected to the film industry. I just loved films and shot on Super 8mm stuff. And then I was lucky that Frank Lustig, the partner from me, where started loving films and making films together with, because with two, you're stronger. If I would be alone and Frank Lustig would never existed, who knows what I would did. But then we were faced to, okay, now we're over 20. So are we trying to make a film, or are we now teachers or journalists or something? And that question came up. And then we were lucky doing German Fright movie. What was the first film? It was like Kentucky Fright movie in Germany, where I was a big fan of, like a ruthless comedy, and and that totally worked. I mean, we released it. It had good appearance in the movie theaters, and then a big company bought it from us, and they gave us the money for a second film, and that is how it started. So I think in the very end, you need luck, but you need also this persistence. You have to keep going, and you have to hustle your way into it. And of course, the first 1 or 2 films you do, you call in all kind of favors. You don't want to pay anybody. Find the actor, say, please play that one part for free, and stuff like this. So if you're not willing to do this, you also will not succeed making films.
Yeah. Patrick Lemire says the film industry killing physical media for streaming will be looked back as a tremendous error.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm still, that in Germany, the DVD and Blu-ray business is still strong. It's because people love the director's commentaries, or they love the making ofs, and they want to have a physically ownership of it. Mm-hmm. And me too. I mean, the people love always my director's commentaries on the DVDs,
Yes.
And that is the thing where I feel it's so ridiculous that now you do a film, it gets streamed, and that was it. And I think you revisit films. I'm happy in LA right now, Louis Justin from he has his own label, so they do 4K new versions of my films. So they went in the negatives in the 35mm material, because a lot of my films were just HD. And now we're getting also Postal done right now as a new 4K version. And I hope that Annie will release that on Blu-ray new. I will do new commentaries also, 15 years later, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to do that. I love to own physically a film, so it's good to have the streamers. I'm not against the streamers. It's good to have it, and to have a lot of like the classics you can just like find on Paramount Plus now. If you want to watch The Godfather, boom, it's there, right? So, but I still think to get completely rid of it, it's a big mistake. And we saw it with the LPs, with the records, the music. Right? They're coming back. I still have my torrents a player here with all the old stuff. I always kept it.
Yeah. Question here, and I'll say this: I think any movie that goes direct to streaming inherently has less value. It just feels less special than a movie that's in theaters. And then, you know, the shrinking that release window to where it's available in the home, I think has diminished the value of movies overall. It's unfortunate. A question here from Aaron Taylor. Is there any particular actor that you'd like to work with?
Oh, there's a long list, you know. So, no, I would love to do like a film with like the old guys, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, whatever, like all them together in the film. I would love to do this. And I mean, there are a lot of good new actors out there, you know, and I would love to do a film with Ryan Reynolds, and maybe not a typical Ryan Reynolds film, to put him back in, not in the coffin, how he was in that one film where he played, but he did some more drama earlier on. You know, now he's a billionaire, maybe doesn't want to do it, but maybe, you know, to do some films, they're not only showing this kind of what they are famous for. Yeah. You know, so, and that would be great.
Well, Uwe, I want to thank you for being on the Film Threat Livecast today. It's an honor to talk to you, and I'm excited to hear that you're coming back. I really believe that more than ever now, we need a raunchy, raw, unafraid, fearless comedy. And your films, more than ever, is what the industry needs. The industry needs an enema, and you need to clean out the shit to fix Hollywood. You could be the man to fix Hollywood. I truly believe that.
No, thank you. Very good. So yeah, put it out there. You know, I'm ready to roll. So, and no, I think I thought about some, like, if Postal would not go, we could do a California Fright movie.
Yeah.
You know.
I would love it. I just think that because there's so much fear, Hollywood is driven by fear. Hollywood is driven by the I'm too afraid, or we can't say this. Even the way actors and filmmakers speak to the media, they're afraid to say certain things that I think are just truths. And that's what I've always admired about you. We've got like maybe time for one more comment.
I have 5 minutes more. Don't worry. But
let's do it.
Let me say something about what you just said, and I think that is really important. Like, I'm a very fact-driven person and realist, right? So, and what I don't like right now is this: you are this, and if you don't agree with it, you are like whatever, a flat earther.
Yeah,
you know. And take the COVID situation. I had so much. I'm 3 times vaccinated and everything, right? So, but I corrected my opinion about the whole situation with the facts coming over time on the table, right? And even a good, like, you know, I'm in the city Mainz in Germany where BioNTech made the vaccine, what Pfizer then distributed worldwide. So, and I know a guy working at BioNTech, and I told him, like, I was all over the best thing for the COVID thing, because in the beginning we were all scared we all die of it. Is of course the vaccine, and it was the right decision. It was the right decision to get vaccinated. But then when it turned out that the vaccine is only holding up for 3 months, and that it's not really stopping that you still infect other people, then a lot of, let's say, flavor of that vaccine went downhill, and I felt like, what the fuck? I mean, I'm not going every 3 months to a vaccination now, you know. So that is the thing, but I recognized, I had friends, they were like, I never get the vaccine, they chip me, you know, like, that it's all like Bill Gates has me under control. So you have the total crazy like conspiracy theorists, and then you have the people they still going every 3 months to a vaccine, even now where it's not really more as a flu anymore if you get it, right? So, and that is the thing. It's like, and I'm basically in a lot of things in the middle and just go with the facts. In the beginning, I think the lockdown was absolutely necessary, but in retrospective, a lot of things were maybe a little too much, because after the fact, you know it better. And then you should also correct your opinion about things. And you should say, look, that was maybe New York shut down for 2 years. Everybody got depressed and killed each other. And, in Miami, everybody was at the beach at the same time and gave a shit. And in the end, the death toll was the same. So, and that is the thing. It's like, there is only one subject matter, but a lot of things also in politics, I think it's worse to reach over the aisle and to see sometimes like also Republicans can be right on some stuff and Democrats are mostly right. I'm more, of course, a Democrat as a Republican in my brain. Yeah. So, but they also do stuff where you think like, what the fuck? I mean, especially when it comes to the political correctness and the Vogue saying, and you cannot do this, you cannot do that, and whatever, you Twitter 20 years ago something and now you get canceled for the rest of your life like you're Adolf Hitler. I mean, that is bullshit. That is just total bullshit, and it has to stop.
Well, I'll say that what you just talked about would make a great subject for a comedy. I think it's because it's in the zeitgeist. People would respond. Matthew Hammond for 2 says Uwe Boll needs to come back on Film Threat. And the Joker has a question here. I lived in Europe for a couple of years and loved people's blunt honesty. I believe it's necessary here in the USA more than ever. Is that a natural process in your films or thought about? I mean, I've never known you to be less than blunt. You're always bluntly giving your opinion, and that's why I've always appreciated you. And I don't think that other film critics they didn't understand you is what it is. And they were way too elitist in how they saw the films you were trying to make. And I think they missed the humor. So, but what's your thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree. And my wife is from Canada, right? And she always says, don't do it. Don't say it. And I just cannot hold it in. And it's like, but I was always like this. I get the best along with myself in just not acting up, in just being how I am, and I think I will not now change anymore my personality profile. But for example, all the actors I worked with, and you can really ask from Ron Perlman to everybody, like they all like to work with me, because in the very end, I'm happy to be on a film set. For me to be finally on a film set and to shoot the film is the payoff of all the work you do before to get the film financed and to get it done, and then when you're on set to working with the actors is what is really, for me, the more relaxing part. For other directors, they are nerve-wracked at the production. I'm always super relaxed at the production because I do exactly what I like to do, working with actors and the camera and telling a story. So, and that is, we had a running gag in The Name of the King with Claire Forlani and Jason Statham that after every take, when they looked at me, how I liked it, I always said, I want my money back. From them, the money they got for the film, right? So they were laughing their ass off every single time. So no, but I think that is the thing. I think humor is enormously important, and you have to feel, safe with the humor. And I think that is what that line, what we have to get back. We are not like. Like there are people that are evil and did evil things like Harvey Weinstein and whatsoever, right? And he should rot in jail. But you cannot, only because somebody has a different opinion or makes a harsh joke about whatever, right? You have no right to try to bring that person out of business. And that is exactly what's happening now, that they rotting together to bring people out of business. And that I will never be part of this. And I think it's ridiculous. But I understand a lot of people are, in a way, pussies, you know, and they like totally saying then in Chinese, like John Cena in Chinese, I'm so sorry to the Chinese because it's an important market. That is for me laughable. You know, that I would never do this if I mean, I would more doubling down then on it.
Well, you need to make a cancel culture comedy because I think it's so in the zeitgeist right now. If you made a film that was a comedy about cancel culture, I feel like that would be huge at the box office. And John Manalang says, God bless you, Uwe. So I know we've kept you over time. I want to thank you. Will you please come back when your movie comes out, when your new movie comes out? Okay, great.
Absolutely.
We'll have you back.
Yeah, the first teaser we sent to you. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then follow Uwe Boll you're on Twitter, right? You're on Twitter?
Yes. Yeah, Uwe Boll 7 on Twitter. And I'm on Facebook too with Bush and Bin Laden on the photo. From
That's great.
Because there are a lot of people, they're not me, right? They say they're Uwe Boll, whatever, but if you find me on Facebook like this and Twitter, it works.
Thank you, Uwe. We look forward to seeing your film, and we'll talk to you when it's out and available in release, and everyone in our audience can check it out. Thanks again. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Later. Bye-bye. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
I'm very happy today.
Wow.
I'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, you do it. There you go. Okay, cool.
I was just like, when I watch Rampage, you know, you hear it in your head, the outrage that this is going to encourage more shootings. But there was a very deep sadness while I was watching this movie. It's like, this is hardly elevating a shooting situation in any way.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, you seen the second new Marvels trailer? You and Alan, please react. Latino Slant, is this April Fool's Day? I don't think it is. Sanjuro Shinjitsu says that was very cool. Heinlein says, glad I caught him on the stream. Well, that was something, says Rambam 3000. Yeah, and there you go. Thanks, Uwe. A lot of people. That's great. Brock Samsonite, John Manalang, Godspeed, Uwe. That was fun. One last super chat here before we sign off. Thanks to the mods today, says David Glenn. Yes, Ms. Pico Coffee in the chat. Thank you so much. So that was a really good interview, says the nerd far away. We thank you for that. I want to say thank you to all. We will be back next week. We're going to be talking Picard. We're going to be talking the latest episode of The Mandalorian, which is I think, is it the season finale next week or the week after?
Dear God, I hope so.
I think it's the season. I think there are 2 more episodes of The Mandalorian, which was great. So that was, God, I'm still taken aback because I was one of those guys that just like, I didn't understand why people didn't like Uwe. It's like, he makes exploitation movies. They are specifically exploitation films. Like that is, and I don't know, it's the type of movies he makes. Great stream today. People are saying.
That's weird. I was looking back at old articles we had written about him, and they always referred to him as the worst director ever.
Well, they were saying he's the worst director of all time, and I disagree. He makes a certain type of movie that you either like that type of movie or you don't. If you don't like
it's not high art. That's the thing.
Yeah. He's not making Beau is Afraid. Okay, thank God. Thank God. It says Alan sent you the link to the new trailer.
Okay.
Okay, can you look at it just to see Paulie's joke?
Okay.
So there you go.
Is it gonna be my head on her on her body or yours?
Yeah, let's look. Marvel's second Marvel's trailer. I'm sure it's a joke. Paulie just wants revenge. So
I think so. Okay, hold on. Damn it, gotta wait through a commercial.
It's gotta be there isn't one. Paulie's just making that up. Hey,
no,
Paulie,
he made something here. You want to see it? Okay. Let's
Paulie made something. Paulie's always trying to like crash our streams. Paulie, dude.
Here.
Go full screen.
Dante. and I'm Chris Gore.
Ah!
We all switch bodies. It's like the Marvels.
Okay. We're like, all right. That's great. Go to Paulie's channel, Latino Slant, to see this video that he spent 5 seconds on. We love you, Paulie. We love you, Paulie.
But they switch places. I mean, if that's not a reason to see the movie.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny? Me, you, and Dante, we would switch places.
Yeah.
Now,
We could make a whole movie on that.
We'll make a whole movie. We will make a 30-second funny video that I will play 700 times on the stream. So he says, boo, play it, fools. We'll play it next week. I haven't seen it. You can't hijack the stream with something that's coming in last minute.
Yeah.
I promise if it's funny, I'll play it next week, which I'm pretty sure 100% we're not going to play it. So there you go. All right, Alan, what do you got coming up?
Let's see. Just filmthreat.com. I got the Renfield review up. We got a bunch of others. Keep going there. Keep going there.
Cool. And go to thefridacinema.org. There are still tickets available to see Attack of the Doc in a theater. I'm very excited that the movie's coming out. Go to Attack of the Doc, DOC. That's Attack of the Doc. It's spelled DOC.com. Check it out. All the links are there. Links to buy tickets, links to pre-order it on Vimeo. And you're going to get sick of me talking about it, but I just want you to see it. I want to hear your opinion. And next week, we will be back Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time for Hollywood on the Rocks, talking TV. Alan's going to watch Beef when he gets a minute. Good luck, Alan.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck. And take care. We appreciate it. Everyone who chatted, all the super chats, much appreciated. Thank you. We'll see you next Wednesday. Alan?
Let's get out of here.